honcho. Breaking news alarm emoji. Source at 4 Japanese characters. Confirm that Roki Sasaki, again, this is not real, folks.
This is not real.
Has agreed to a 5-year deal with the San Diego Padres. First of all, it's 6.
Telling the truth feels good, and it's what this country was built on.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 1 of Jon and Jim. Are the Padres out on Sasaki or not? We have conflicting reports, or really we just have one report, and that was this morning. That's been widely discussed at this point. Francis Romero, who covers baseball in Central America, reporting that the Padres are going to move on, and they are out, and they're going to sign international prospects. But here's the caveat, Jim. It's like this. So you say there's a chance. I'm not a movie reference guy, but I said it anyway.
What movie is that from?
It's from a movie. I don't care. But it's from Major League.
Okay. Not
whatever
close.
It's from.
Dumb and
Here's
Dumber.
the thing. When you get a report of substance like that, because it happened about a week ago, hey, the Rangers are out, the Cubs are out, and then immediately
the Mets,
it was
the
verified.
Yankees, the Giants.
Yeah, and then we saw Jeff Passan later that day say, here are the 3 finalists, and it included the Padres. It's been radio silence. I know we'll hear from Robert Murray. You tweeted about this. But since this report, by the way, credible reporter, he's covered baseball. He's gotten things right. He's a baseball insider in Central America. So he reports the Padres are out. But where's the corroboration? Where's the second tweet? We haven't seen it as of yet, and this has been hours.
Francis Romero, 5:40 a.m.
I texted you in the 6s.
I know. I had texts from you. I had text messages from other people. My brother even texted me, and we don't talk much Padres baseball, but he just sent me "Rip Padres." I was like, here we go. When I saw your text, he said, "This do wrap up show at 10 a.m." I thought something good happened.
No, I wouldn't have said it that way. I would have sent the tweet.
He tweets out, hearing from multiple sources that the Padres are out on Roki Sasaki. They will begin their international signings of Johan De La Cruz and Carlos Alvarez in the next few hours. The next tweet he had right after that, per source, the San Diego Padres will make their first major official signing of the 2024-2025 international class tomorrow and officially sign 6'3" Dominican left-hander Carlos Alvarez for around $1 million in bonus pool money. And ever since then, radio silent.
And
Nothing.
It's not to say it's not accurate.
Right.
It could be fully accurate, but we need further reporting here. This is not going to be the last we ever hear of the Padres being out. We haven't heard from Dennis or Kevin or AJ Cassavell covering the team locally. And then the Jeff Passons, the Ken Rosenthals, the Jesse Rogers, and so on and so forth. Now, do I think it's encouraging? I don't. I think when someone that covers the sport, he's not trying to put his credibility on the line and be wrong. So I don't think it's encouraging. But I don't think the door is fully closed. Do I feel better today than yesterday? No, I don't. When I woke up to that this morning, I thought it was going to take a Hail Mary. It still seems to me like it would take a Hail Mary. And the one action item you mentioned in the update that maybe confirms it is what the Blue Jays have done today, because the Padres haven't. The Blue Jays have added international money. It would literally be out of nowhere if Toronto signed this guy. It makes no sense, but whatever. They've added $2 million in money, Jim, as you just reported in your update. Padres haven't. So, yeah, it doesn't confirm the Francis Romero report, but it doesn't make you feel much better when you see what Toronto is doing. And the Padres have remained radio silent all offseason, including today.
Yeah, a couple things. Do I think the Padres are out? My gut tells me yes. Just like Francis Romero, he's been in on this. I mean, if you look at his timeline, he is updating you on every single international signing around all baseball. What I think happened, and this is just speculation, this is just like me thinking out loud, is since he is so tied into these agents of the international players, he probably got word from an agent of one of these players that was linked to the Padres. Hey, we just got word that we're going to sign with the Padres tomorrow. Yep. You put 2 and 2 together. Well, if that were the case, then the Padres would have to be out on Sasaki. So that's what is going on. And then I do believe that the Blue Jays saw that tweet, might have got a little spooked and thought to themselves, if it's between us and the Dodgers, we need to sweeten the pot a little bit. They went out, immediately traded for more international pool money. And ever since then, it's been radio silent. Now, do I think these teams know about Sasaki? I don't know. I don't know, because if they did, it would be out now. I think that if these teams knew who and where he was going to go to, then it would be out there.
You have to consider this, though. I like the theory that, okay, there's a agent for an international player that's been tipped off that the Padres have made him aware they will sign that player.
Right.
But that's just one part of the conversation. The Padres could be saying that to these international prospects. We're going to sign you. Hold out. We're going to sign you. Hold out. And then if Roki chooses them, just kidding. Like that's at least a viable possibility that the agent believes the Padres will sign the player because the Padres have led that agent to believe it. But until it's official, it's not official. And they haven't yet signed these players as of today.
Yeah. And I also think, too, the Padres have to play two sides here. They can't just sit and wait for Sasaki. They have to also have contingency plans ready, plan B, plan C, all that ready to go. And for these players, Carlos Alvarez, I think is his name.
Yes, one of them. What
the other guy?
De La Cruz.
Yeah. You got to make sure that if you do truly lose out on Sasaki, you do not also lose out on these guys as well.
Sure.
Do I know anything about who these players are? Nothing. None. Will I still find it incredibly disappointing and a massive failure if they don't land Sasaki? Absolutely. But they also have to play both sides here. They have to make sure that they keep these guys and that they, if they do lose Sasaki, and yeah, I think if Sasaki about faces, which I don't think is going to happen at this point, just kind of the gut feeling of things, right? Then they're going to have to be like, okay, just kidding. But if Sasaki does officially pick and we're just sitting here waiting for that official tweet from Passan or Dennis or Kevin or whoever saying that he has made his decision, then they're going to have to pivot very quickly.
Yeah, I think what you said is spot on. And let me say this, until it's official, it's not official. But if you read tea leaves like you and I are reading, this is going to be a massive swing and miss for this organization. There is no other way to paint it. And the truth is, as good of a job as AJ Preller did last year, a knock on the organization is they have not closed deals on this top flight level of player. I'm sorry. They've signed Ethan Salas. He was 16. They didn't sign Shohei Ohtani in his 20s. They didn't sign Seiya Suzuki. They didn't sign, in this theoretical, Roki Sasaki, right? That there have been players that they have been in on, that they have missed on, and that is not a good reflection. Finishing second in this equation is finishing in last place. It is not any type of positive for the organization. And if there is a plan B, it better be damn good, because you're facing serious headwinds financially, lawsuit-wise, missing out on a player of this caliber. We'll see if he ends up with the Dodgers or not. And it isn't done. I'm not ready to
Blue Jays.
I'm not ready to fully say, oh my gosh, worst swing and a miss of AJ Preller's career. And I get it. This is a game of high-stakes poker. But guess what? You don't play if you don't think you can win. And when you lose a game of high-stakes poker, you're the loser.
And when you use so much of your resources to try to nab this guy, and you actually don't even finish runner-up, you finish, if this is to be true, you're not even runner-up for the guy. That is, that's a failure. That's incredibly disheartening. I feel bad for AJ because
it's not solely on AJ.
It's not solely on him, but he is the guy that is recruiting. He is the guy that is getting these players, and he's gotten Ethan Salas, he's gotten Leo DeVries. But in the Japanese market, he has swung and missed on every big name since Ohtani. Every single one.
There've probably been 4 or 5.
Kodai Senga, now potentially Roki Sasaki, Seiya Suzuki. Yamamoto, you can't really swing and miss there.
That's different.
It's different. But they've been in all these guys heavily. And it just is, if this turns out to be true, the offseason continues to get worse and worse and worse. And look, until it's official, I get it, but it feels that way. Robert Murray today on his podcast,
we'll get to that.
Talking about that, it's just kind of weird how I did a little digging too, and there's nothing. It's just radio silent. Nothing from the Padres.
All right, so let's hear from Robert Murray, another baseball insider. There's a caveat here. I want to hear this, and then I want to explain on the other side. This is Robert Murray this afternoon following the Francis Romero report. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, I've been scrambling around all morning. I've seen the reports suggesting that the Padres are out on Roki Sasaki. I cannot confirm those at this point just because no one's getting back to me. It's radio silence. I don't know what to make of that. But Francis Romero is credible. He is a good reporter. So if he says it, I believe it. But I have not been able to independently confirm that on my own end. So take that for whatever it's worth. But what we can say is that the Dodgers have long been in the driver's seat in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. They have long been considered the favorite by just about everyone in baseball. And I see nothing to suggest otherwise at this point. The big competition here seems like it's coming from the Blue Jays as well. And their emergence in the finalist list kind of really caught myself and I believe others off guard. The fit makes sense because they need pitching, they need front-facing talent, they need a lot of different help to try to convince Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette to stay long-term, but also just to compete in general. And as far as the trade that they made today, where they acquired $2 million in international space, like that's not insignificant. That's not small. And in my head, that to me gave me two ideas. One, they may have the indication that they've gotten Sasaki, or two, they believe he's going elsewhere and they're trying to make a last-ditch effort to go out and get Sasaki. And my belief is it's probably when I say my belief, this is just my own speculation because I mean it's radio silence on a lot of different ends at this point. But my guess, Cooper. Hey, sorry, we got Cooper kicking my desk over here. But my guess is this is probably a last-ditch effort to try to convince Sasaki to come to Toronto because they've swung and missed on a lot of different players, and they clearly have invested a lot into this. And I'm not saying the Padres or Dodgers haven't, but they're going to try to do everything in their power to try to convince him to come to Toronto. And we'll see ultimately what ends up happening. Nobody at this point knows. I don't even know if Sasaki knows at this point. So we'll see, but it's just a huge mystery right now. But my guess is it's in order is Dodgers, Blue Jays, Padres.
Yeah, what I was going to say there is that, yeah, he said he couldn't confirm these reports, but all the indications take him right back to what people have really said all along, which is the Padres aren't the favorite. Mm-hmm. It's actually the Dodgers, and maybe because of the action of the Blue Jays, they somehow have an opportunity to open the door a little bit from LA. But I hear Robert Murray, and he's not confirming Francis Romero's report, but he's going down the same path, which is Padres, unfortunately, right now, appear to be on the outside looking in.
Right.
So, I mean, again, it's probably not a good look for the Blue Jays either if they miss out, but I don't care. We don't cover the Blue Jays.
No.
They've missed out on players. It's true.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ohtani last year.
Juan Soto, they've been in on. I mean, they've tried to make big
Sasaki
splashes.
Potentially, if they don't land him. Like Vlad Jr. could leave in free agency next year if they don't re-sign him. You know, the Blue Jays are kind of, I'm not going to say dealing with the same problems the Padres have, but they're also having a bad offseason as well. And they need something to land with them. And I'm sure their fan base feels the same way. It's like, can we get just some good news, please?
I mean, nobody needs it more than the Padres fan base. I mean, perception's becoming reality. And now you've got this lawsuit that's playing out as well in the backdrop. All right, further coverage of this story. Will we get finality today? Where is Roki Sasaki heading? Are the Padres out or not? We're here until 6 p.m. Do not go anywhere. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, back with you on Jon and Jim. I chuckled when I read this text. By the way, if you want to weigh in, are the Padres officially out? 70470, start it with team, or you can call us. 877-767-4760. 360, listen to this. People not from San Diego have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to the Padres landing or not landing free agents.
Okay.
To even be in a position to speak with Machado, Judge, Ohtani, Turner, Sasaki, etc., is a testament to the organization, how far they've come under Preller. This is not a failure, just sign that they're relevant enough to attract the best of the best, knowing the true history of this place, mainly being thought of as the best AAA team in Major League Baseball, might change your perspective. It doesn't change my perspective at all. I don't care what happened here in 1974. It's 2025. They spent years in scouting of this player. AJ's documented having said that. We heard what Mike Shildt said at the winter meetings. You don't play games like this to lose, okay? And it's great that they talked to Aaron Judge. That's terrific. You know, and I'm sure Toronto, they're partying on the streets of Toronto because they talked to Juan Soto. That is irrelevant to any conversation. You either land the player or you don't. And Manny Machado was a turn of the page for the organization. It was a massive moment and a big win when they did land him in 2019. But don't tell me that because they finished third for Roki, all is perfect in Padre land because in 1972 they were a AAA franchise. That's irrelevant.
There's a massive difference in what this texter is talking about to what's happening right now. You want to know what that difference is? Peter Seidler's not around anymore, unfortunately. All of that stuff that texter talked about happened during Peter. Like, I think I think
Fowler, Peter, some of it.
Well,
Machado.
Yep. I mean, look, Peter to me pushes those things through.
Yeah. Part owner. Yeah.
Like, you know, the next year, I don't think it's any coincidence that he becomes the control person and Ron steps down in 2020.
Sure.
Like, Peter had a huge voice. And I think he was the driving force to get Machado here, to pushing that number to 300. All of the excuse me, conversations that he had with Trey Turner and Aaron Judge was because of Peter. Now he's not here anymore. Do I think the ownership, and I've seen this a lot. People have DM'd me, and I see this a lot on social media, blaming the Seidler bros or blaming the lawsuit if they are truly out on Roki Sasaki. Do I think it plays a factor? It's hard to tell. I don't know. I really don't. But I can tell you this. If we do find out, and maybe we never do, but if we do find out that it did, that's even a more alarming and furthermore, more reason that they should 100% then sell the franchise. Like,
if it impacted their pursuit of this player, if it's documented to actually impact their pursuit negatively.
If we find out that there was any impact on potentially not landing Roki that was because of the ownership issues and the lawsuit and any of that, and the fact that Peter's not here anymore, sell the franchise. Because that is only going to turn into a bigger problem going forward.
I won't go that far yet. I understand what you're saying, and there's a lot of strong feelings.
It's a hypothetical
but
take.
It's a possibility.
It's a hypothetical
possibility that we find out the reason he went with the Dodgers is sustainability.
Yeah.
Or the Blue Jays for whatever reason. I'll just say this. Listen, I'm not going to tell this texter how they should, watch Padres baseball. But I will say this. I don't think there's 3.2 million people going to the ballpark and tens of thousands of people watching every night just because, just for fun. Oh, it's great. You know what? Yeah. It was a great year. We got to the NLDS. There were other years we didn't get to the NLDS. Wasn't it great? Yeah, to some extent, there was a lot of really good in there. But at some point, it's okay to say, we want to win a World Series. You've been around since 1969. It's 60 years of this. It's okay to say that being good isn't good enough. Yeah, it's good to talk to Aaron Judge. It's good to finish top 3 for Roki Sasaki. It's good to, at some point, break through. Like, you're allowed to say that I want to see this franchise break through. You spent all your dollars and all your time and all your resources on this team. Just because they got to face the Dodgers, that doesn't make it some incredible season.
Yeah, the loser mentality is, well, at least we got,
Yeah,
like,
it went 5 games.
At least we went 5 games. At least we were finalists for Roki. At least we got to talk to Aaron Judge. That would have never happened before. That is such a loser mentality. I can't express it to you even more. Because to me, it's the Ricky Bobby line. If you're not first, you're last. That's how you got to operate in some type of like black and white at some point. Living in that gray area of like, oh, we're just happy to be here. We're just happy to have a conversation with that player. Oh, we're just happy to be a finalist. If you live in that area, okay, it's great. It's fine. That's just not me. I'm not. I'm a black and white person. It's either you get the guy or you don't get him.
Mm-hmm.
Either you land the person or you don't. If you don't, that's a problem.
It's the game. Like, you have to be careful. The 93 win regular season was a very good season. They haven't won 93 games in forever in a regular season. It should be celebrated. It was a very successful season in the regular season. Beating the Braves in the postseason is absolutely an accomplishment. But what's also an utter failure is going 24 consecutive innings without scoring when your season is on the line against the biggest rival you have in the sport.
Yeah, you can say both things. How last regular season was great. It was fun. The last 2 months of the year, probably the best 2-month stretch, like maybe in franchise history. I think it was at one point of how good they were playing. And Jackson Merrill was amazing. And the surprise of Jerks and Profar and the way that Manny played down the stretch, it was all great. But it ended with the team falling flat on their face. And now the question is, all right, how can we not do that again? How can we get back to that position, up 2-1 over the Dodgers, and not go 24 straight scoreless innings? That should be that should be the main focus of the offseason, not just like, man, wasn't last year just fun?
Let me give you an example. Like
It was, but it sucked at the end.
Are like Buffalo Bills fans celebrating getting to the Super Bowl 4 straight years? Again, it is an accomplishment.
It is, yeah.
Are San Francisco 49er fans celebrating losing to the Chiefs?
I'm not watching that game ever again.
Are Penn State fans happy that they lost to Notre Dame, but it was a really good game and it was their first time in the college football semifinal? Like, it's like a zero-sum game sometimes. Like, this is professional sports. This is the highest level of the sport. All these teams are invested to such a high degree, and these fan bases are too. I think the Padres have an incredible fan base. I really do. But like, at some point, it's okay to say like what happened to finish off that Dodger series is unacceptable. And if they lose out here to Sasaki, it's not good enough. And what they've done this offseason hasn't been enough. Like, I think that's okay to say.
Well, I think I'm going to jump in here.
Oh, hi,
Sammy,
Sammy.
what's going on? We were going to get you in
Sammy.
at some point, but there's so much excitement that
we didn't even
Sammy
notice you were
Long
here.
from the Fletch Zone. Where's
Must
Brent?
be nice.
What's up, boys? This is my Jon Jim debut.
What's up, man?
Don't F it up.
I just totally agree with you. Like, I think what was cool about the Padres Dodgers series that the Padres didn't treat the Dodgers like they were the lovable underdog that the Padres were. They went at them. That's why Flaherty and Machado got into it, and that's why Tatis and Profar were dancing in the outfield. I thought that brought a good mentality to the Padres organization, the fans, saying that, hey, we're not scared of playing the Dodgers. And I feel like when you go to you don't land Roki Sasaki, well, hey, everything's okay in paradise. It's like you can't play both sides. Can't play we want to be World Series competitors, and then you don't land the guys and go, well, don't make fun of our guys. This is our city. I think it's okay to hold the team to a higher standard.
Yeah, good. Honestly, that's a good way to put it. That's what I should have said. It's okay to hold the team at this point to a higher standard. More of your reaction. You can call us 877-767-4760, or you can text us 70470. Start it with the word team.
Daniel's son on our YouTube chat. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. It would help our algorithm and our video out. So we appreciate that. He says, this is like the 25th scoreless inning.
Yeah, it's the 25th consecutive scoreless inning.
Yeah.
What's playing out right now. If, in fact, it is playing out. But we'll continue to react. Cynthia Freeland will join us at 4 p.m. from the NFL Network. We'll get you ready for the divisional round. We're here until 6 p.m. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Remember, it was at the winter meetings. Jon and Jim with you until 6 p.m. We've got you covered on this Roki news, if there is news. It was at the winter meetings. Sammy, you have the sound from Mike Shildt at the winter meetings. We'll pull it up. It was MLB Network Radio. I mean, Shildt was very confident. This kind of started the Sasaki sweepstakes, and we were like, oh, okay. What do you have?
Nothing. I was just turning my mic on.
Okay,
Sorry.
cool. So let's hear from Shildt on MLB Network Radio. Remember, this was in December at the baseball winter meetings, and it was a little bit out of nowhere what he had to say about Sasaki.
Should be very legitimate contenders. We fully expect to be right in the mix, and actually at the end of the day, you know, have Sasaki a Padre.
Yeah.
You know, we've got AJ's done a tremendous job. The organization's done a tremendous job of making sure that we're very relevant internationally. You know, our roster speaks to it. You know, we have a bunch of, you know, we got, you know, obviously Darvish, and we've got, you know, Yuki from Japan. We had Kimi over from Korea, and, you know, multicultural club that, you know, is open to that. I know, you know, I mean, heck, AJ speaks Japanese. You know, he worked on to learn Japanese to, you know, recruit, you know, Otani you know, years ago. And I know they got really close there. So, you know, we got Nomo in the organization that, you know, clearly is well respected rightfully in Japan. So we've got a lot of inroads, you know, to get to Sasaki and make that happen. And I know we're going to put the full court press to make it happen. And you know, we're very optimistic.
What did I say when he said that?
That they better land him.
You better land him.
Or we're going to play it
or
the day that they don't.
Or that's going to come back to haunt you, buddy. Like, I'm pretty positive, not 100%, but like close to it, that people inside that organization, like when they heard that, they had to have like been like, ooh, like cringe, because you say that, you set yourself up that if you don't get them, then that's going to be played everywhere, and you're going to be made look like a fool. Like and not only that, you just gave your entire fan base the feeling like you're going to land Sasaki. And then if you don't, then you look like an idiot. Like, it's okay, Mike, to like not speak and say everything that's on your mind. Like, it's okay.
Right.
And in that instance, he shouldn't have said that. I stand by that. I stand by that, even though Kevin will say, oh, it's just a Shilttism.
Right.
No. When you got Mike Farron texting us like, hey, did you guys hear what Mike Shildt said today? And you see Alden Gonzalez tweet out like interesting comments from Mike Shildt, and then other baseball people that are dialed in wondering to themselves, what's he talking about?
Well, and it was Dennis Lin within 24 hours that then reported that the Padres are not as confident as Mike Shildt suggested publicly. Right. On the inside, the Padres are not confident that they are the true front runner in this game. Now, again, it's true. This week, or this past weekend, Roki was at Petco Park. Jim, you posted the video. But, I mean,
he's like, I saw a video posted online. I didn't like my privacy being out there. I'm out.
But I mean, listen, that happened. Like, life comes at you quick. That was 5 days ago. Okay. That was Sunday. 5 days later, we have this reporting from Romero. It's not to say that the Padres were never involved. I think they have been involved. I think they've been a serious suitor. I think they've had real interest. I know Preller has scouted him heavily, as has the organization. But like, at the end of the day, isn't it zero sum?
Yeah.
You are still, at the end of the day, in a division with the LA Dodgers. I have been the one to argue, I don't care about winning the division. I care about winning the postseason. I credited them for what they did against LA in 2022. It was an impressive feat. It was a very improbable series win. They were dominated in the regular season. Unfortunately, they lost in the NLCS. It was a very good year. The Padres have only made the NLCS 3 times, but like, the goal isn't to be like close to the Dodgers or good in the National League or top 3rd in the sport. The goal at some point is to break through. You didn't bring Manny Machado here to be top 3rd in the sport. You brought him here to win a World Series. End of sentence.
So if this is to be true, if we find out later this afternoon, hopefully, geez, make up your freaking mind.
Right.
That he does not land with the Padres. Like, where does your anger go to first?
Other than towards you?
Well, yeah, besides me, because I guess everything's my fault.
No, it's a really good question. Like, I'm not gonna go crazy on AJ, because again, I think there's a lot more than a general manager in terms of a determining factor. We've talked about pitching development, analytics, organizational strength, stability. My mind probably goes, Jim, to instability. Just this word. I can't put my finger on what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming the Shildt Seidler lawsuit. And I'm honestly not blaming Jon Seidler. But the fact that since Peter's passing, you've had multiple chairmen from Eric Senda to whomever's next, maybe Shield's still a possibility. It just, to me, isn't as stable. And it's not fully their fault. It's no one's fault that Peter untimely passed away, right? That's no one's fault.
No.
But this organization post Peter feels less stable than other organizations in baseball. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I don't. I'm really hard pressed to like put the blame on AJ for this,
Right?
But I do feel that when you're recruiting somebody like this, and it is based solely on recruiting, you just found out that you're just not good enough as an organization. Like, you didn't provide what Roki was looking for. And I wouldn't say that if they were kind of like half in, half out on Roki, kind of checking the waters. Like, I mean, this is one of the best pitchers, prospects in the baseball scene for a while. Like, at this price point, like, let's go check them out. Like, if the Giants, right? They were out on Roki, but I don't think they were as heavily in on Roki Sasaki as the Padres have been in for how long they have been on Roki. So from that standpoint, I just view the Padres organization and what they were selling to Roki just not good enough. And that's just where I put it at. And I don't know who to blame for that. But also, you're right. AJ's now kind of with his hands tied here. And you do feel kind of bad for him because he invested so much time. But when you don't land somebody, when you don't land that recruit, kind of does fall on you, though,
Yeah, I mean, it's like a high stakes game. It just is. I mean, Marty Schottenheimer was fired after going 14-2. Now, it wasn't the right decision, but I'm saying, like, they didn't win in the postseason. So their ultimate goal in that was to win. This is professional sports. All right, we can go to the phones. I mean, who would you blame here, Padres fans, if they don't land Roki? 877-767-4760. Let's start with Cadillac John on line 5. Cadillac John, you're on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in, man.
Jon and Jim.
What's up, man?
How are you guys?
We're hanging.
Okay.
So this may be unpopular opinion, and just let's hear me out. I blame Peter Seidler. Why? He's an intelligent man. He has access to attorneys. He could have had a living trust. His health was going down. He knew he wasn't doing well. Living trust would have avoided this. He left it in the hands of like probate and attorneys. He knew better. I know he's passed away. God rest his soul. But he should have had a living trust. He should have avoided this. He didn't think his son's they're gonna just give up the team, really, to their stepmom. That wasn't gonna happen. I blame Peter respectfully.
Thank you, Cadillac John, loyal listener.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
No, I mean, I would respectfully disagree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't do that. By the way, this always, when an organization changes hands following the death of a primary owner, this has happened more often, maybe not more often than not, but it's happened. We've had people on talk about it. Baltimore Orioles, Denver Broncos. There's countless examples. You can't blame the previous owner that has passed.
No.
For the way this is playing out.
Yeah, like us all, Peter was not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But he also did more for this franchise and fan base than any owner in this town has ever done.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I'm not putting any blame on Peter.
Neither am I.
Like you can't. It's and I do think that the narrative of, well, Peter signed Xander and didn't have AJ trade away Blake Snell and Josh Hader at the deadline was because he knew his health was declining. Well, I mean, in that lawsuit, if you read it, Shildt said this was like completely unexpected, So I'm going to push back on that narrative that Peter knew something was going on and that's why he spent all this money on Xander and didn't trade away Blake Snell because they wanted to try to win right now. Peter's just always optimistic in the first place. He always was.
Here's the thing. Peter Seidler's passing has I mean, no, you can't. It has nothing to do with Peter Seidler's passing. What has happened, though, is the reality is he's no longer here, and the organization is dealing with that, and that could be impactful moving forward on the organization. Obviously, that's playing out in front of our eyes.
And if Peter were still with us, I things would be different. I know that things would be different. So I'm not going to blame somebody who's not here when I know for a fact if he was with us, things would be different and most likely for the better.
Padres fans, we want to hear from you. I mean, who would you blame in this scenario if Roki goes elsewhere after this years-long pursuit? 877-767-4760 or text us 70470. Start it with the word team. It's Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports.
All right, the Aztecs take on UNLV tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. Viejas Arena. Pre-game coverage at 4. Ted's got the tip right after 5 on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. We're reacting to the report from Francis Romero that the Padres are out on Roki. It has not been corroborated. There hasn't been the Jeff Passan follow-up or Alden Gonzalez or whomever else. But it doesn't seem like an overly encouraging day. You've seen the Blue Jays add international money, maybe in an effort to land Roki. We know the Dodgers have been involved since day one, and the Padres, maybe not officially official, Jim, but another day goes by. They're doing absolutely nothing. It doesn't seemingly bode well. If they pull the rabbit out of the hat, incredible. It'll be celebrated all offseason long. It'll be unbelievable if that's the end result. And I'm not willing to say it's not going to happen. We haven't fully closed the book. It just feels like the book is closing really quick.
It's such a torture time for the fan base and all of us. You're just sitting there waiting to be put out of your misery. Like you have a feeling like, this is going to be it. And you're just waiting for that confirmation. Like, it's over. Like you see the meteor coming down from the sky. It's going to hit Earth. You're just waiting. You're just waiting for impact. That's kind of where everyone's at right now. And you hope, like, by some off chance, the meteor misses Earth. And you're like,
huge.
You're like, oh, we're alive.
Right.
It's amazing. But,
So in your analogy, we're all dead?
Kind of.
Right.
I just thought of the deepest, darkest thing I could think of, like a meteor crashing into Earth and everyone dies.
Dark,
It's the darkest thing I could think of off the top of my head.
I mean, listen, when I woke up and I saw it, it actually
When did you text?
It harkened me back. It was in the 6s. And I saw it for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, and then I eventually texted you. What time was it? It was early.
Because for some reason, I woke up right after you texted me, but I didn't hear your text. All right, you texted me at 6:48 a.m. saying, let's do a 10 a.m. wrap-up show. I did not hear that text because my phone was on silent. It was on vibrate. And
vibrate isn't silent.
Well, I don't hear when I'm sleeping.
Okay.
It's like beat.
Do you keep the phone right next to you when you sleep?
No, I keep it on my nightstand.
That's kind of right next to you.
It's not healthy for you.
That's what they say, right?
All right, Dr. Sammy. But I texted you back 10 minutes later, WTF.
It actually, this is what it brought me back to. There's a couple of days. There's obviously the Max Scherzer day, but that was like the opposite because Ken Rosenthal was like, Padres are going to land Scherzer at the deadline. Oh, just kidding.
But this is very reminiscent of that moment because when Ken reported that, it was radio silent from everybody for like 5 hours.
True. And then he was wrong.
Then he was wrong. Yeah.
So that would be nice. I harkened back to that. And then there was this brief moment in time where it looked like the Pac-12 was going to stay together and then it fell apart. And that was cruel and unusual
for you
if you're an Aztec fan.
Or if you're John Schaefer.
And for me. But anyway, it's just one of those days where, man, the tweets just don't go your way.
The tweets just
have not going. You're like, come on, really?
Can we get one tweet
5
go
in
away?
the morning, the Padres are out. Give me a break. Let's go back to the phones if you want to weigh in. 877-767-4760 or text us 70470 started with team. Dave is on line 1 and back with Jon and Jim. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I've got another 6-pack of Klondike bars. We're going to work through those things the rate this is going at, but nonetheless, the Sasaki guy cannot play left field, can't play first base, can't play catcher, can't play short. I mean, the needs of this team, albeit could be helped with the acquisition of the young man, but given the depth of what they need and how many, and we haven't even gotten to the bench yet, and we're coming up close to March 28th. We've got more things to worry about than Sasaki. And so if you're looking for blame, I'll go back on record again, guys. I don't know how you feel. This way I feel as a fan. Since Peter passed, this organization has not treated its fans with transparency. And I'm not expecting a Philadelphia accountant to come in and show us the balance sheet. What I'm saying is that you can at least be a little bit more upfront with your fan base about the collective direction of the team. That's certainly one of the things that Roki's looking at. He has to. You've got to look at this organization now that continues to pull back and not be competitive enough on the free agent market like they used to be. And so you've got to wonder. And there's a lot of questions about the leadership and where this thing is really headed and why they don't come out and get the hell out of Tony Gwynn way and get back and meet with the fans who support them, for God's sakes.
Good call, Dave. We appreciate it. And yeah, I get the frustration, and he's right. By the way, you land Roki, it doesn't solve left field. It doesn't solve all issues. It doesn't. He's going to pitch every sixth game if you landed him.
I will agree with that, but also disagree with that from this standpoint. Yeah, it won't fix left field, won't fix the catching position, won't fix shortstop. But you know what it would fix? The overall
Perception.
vibe and the overall well-being of the mental state of this fan base and the team. Seeing like, oh, we just landed this guy who's the top prospect, and then they see him pitch and they're like, whoa. Like, what was something that was missing from 2023? At the end of the day, I think people could say like Profar was a huge piece missing from that team.
Sure.
Going from 2022 to 2023, just his presence alone changed a lot of things in that clubhouse. You get him back in 2024, vibes were very high. Do I think Roki would play the same role as Profar with the vibes? No, but it would give the team like that added like oomph, seeing that they went out and made a big acquisition. You know, if you're a team that's on the cusp and you want to see what your team does in the offseason, if your team does nothing, that's disheartening when you go into a year. But if your team makes a couple big moves in the offseason, you feel re-energized. You feel rejuvenated. You get the vibes are high. You like, all right, let's go. The front office believes in us. They're giving us some more tools to help us get over the hump. And we feel like we can, finally get to a World Series with the moves that they made. But they've made no moves at all, and they might have lost out on Roki.
Yeah, exactly. The perception is reality conversation. It just feels as if Padres fans, considering their support of the franchise, maybe deserve more. Now I get it. Only one of the teams is going to land Roki, and it's not solely on them. It's up to him. It takes two to tango, but they're going to need to do more, regardless of what happens with Roki. They're going to need to do more, and a lot more, truthfully, to put themselves in a position to win in 2025. We continue to react to kickoff hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We do have Cynthia Freeland on the show from the NFL Network. She'll get us ready for the divisional round of the postseason. She'll join us at 4 p.m. Full reaction until 6 p.m. Does it become official today? Will Roki make a decision one way or the other officially? We're here to react. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
Run
San Diego.
This update's brought to you by unbound.org. We'll start with the Padres. Reports from one person, Francis Romero, this morning saying the Padres are out on Roki Sasaki. No other confirmation other than that one tweet. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays have traded for $2 million additional dollars of international bonus pool money. So they are now at $8 million for international pool money. And tomorrow night, it's bobblehead night. Brian Dutcher bobblehead night as the Aztecs take on UNLV. 5 p.m. tip, 4 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
I want to know, not the craziest story, but the story from the guy that's like 2,000 followers that's like claiming they know what's up.
Mike Honcho, breaking news alarm emoji. Source at 4 Japanese characters confirm that Roki Sasaki, again, this is not real, folks.
This is not real.
Has agreed to a 5-year deal with the San Diego Padres. First of all, it's 6.
Telling the truth feels good, and it's what this country was built on.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We continue to react to the reporting around baseball regarding Roki Sasaki, who is still at this point awaiting his destination. He has not made it official. Is it going to be LA or Toronto? Is San Diego still a possibility for this right-handed international star or not? We've talked about this reporting from Francis Romero. Jon Morosi then followed up. This was this morning at MLB Network based on the reporting of Francis Romero on the Sasaki sweepstakes. Let's take a listen to this.
Matt, good morning. Information still very fluid at this hour, but an important report in the last several minutes from Francis Romero about the state of the international signing period. Here it is. From multiple sources, Francis reporting that the Padres are out on Sasaki, and that the telltale sign of this is that they're prepared to now begin their international signings of other parts of their international budget. Of course, we all know there's a hard cap on this, so they're prepared to now sign Yohan De La Cruz and Carlos Alvarez. And Francis reported that the Alvarez bonus will be $1 million. And so, again, the Padres have not released a formal statement at this hour saying that they are out, but the reporting of Francis Romero indicating that other moves they are making would preclude them from signing Sasaki under the same international signing bonus cap. Therefore, assuming this is, again, the way this actually unfolds, that it would leave the Dodgers and the Blue Jays as the 2 remaining suitors for Roki Sasaki. And I was also told within the last couple of days, of course, we know this, Matt, the Dodgers had the final at-bat, so to speak. They had the final in-person meeting with Sasaki, and I was told that Sasaki has been very impressed and connected to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who, of course, had such a great rookie season with the Dodgers in 2024. So, again, information is still fluid at this hour, but the report of Francis Romero indicating the Padres are pivoting away from Sasaki, leaving 2 remaining teams, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays.
Okay. It was an interesting report from Morosi because he didn't report anything. He's like, well, this is what Francis Romero says.
The one thing that is interesting there, and we played it on yesterday's show from Tyler Glasnow, saying kind of just like dropped in there, I heard he really likes Toronto. And then you get, the Toronto Blue Jays today doing what they did with the international pool money. Right. And then John Heyman just tweeting about 3 minutes ago, John, basically saying, what did he say?
The Jays are doing whatever they can to aid their chances at pitching phenom Roki Sasaki. They've gone from long shot to real threat. And of course, like everyone, he has no clue. Not saying they're getting him, but they have a real shot. Sasaki clearly isn't about money, but the extra $2 million in bonus money here doesn't hurt either. So he said nothing.
Said nothing, but he also is reaffirming that, like, hey, Blue Jays are like, don't give up on the Blue Jays here. They're a real threat. The one thing he didn't say in there, and he didn't confirm, which is officially the Padres are out.
Correct. But but we just heard what he said. I mean, he went on MLB Network.
John Morosi.
I'm talking about Heyman. Oh, I'm sorry, Heyman. You're right. Heyman hasn't. Nobody has. You're right. And Morosi hasn't tweeted about it other than what he said on MLB Network, which is like, Francis Romero says the Padres are out. And if that's the case, then you have the Dodgers and the Blue Jays left standing.
Look, is this probably false hope? Yeah, probably is. But
well, we're not sitting here saying like this guy, it's completely inaccurate.
No, we're not.
We're just saying that it's until it's over, it's not over.
Exactly. Just the odds of something, switching probably very low. And I just want to be put out of my misery. That's just kind of where I'm at right now. Like this show has talked about Roki Sasaki so much. And then in the end, for him to just like choose Toronto, he'll be irrelevant to us starting tomorrow if that happens later today.
Right, but knowing what's going to happen is it won't be Toronto, it'll be LA. This is day 39 of the posting period, by the way. He has 45 days to sign. This is day 39. We've covered it for all 39 days, but we actually started covering it well before the posting period opened up. You're right. I mean, I said that weeks ago. I said the issue with going all in on everything or all in on anything is you have to be prepared for disappointment. And this could be a ton of disappointment for Padres fans.
Do you know who Mike Rodriguez is?
Mike Rod? Emrod? No.
I'm looking at his Twitter. It says MLB insider, broadcaster, and former analyst for the Chicago Cubs in Spanish. He has 20,000 followers.
I saw this earlier, right?
No.
Well, he's been tweeting about Sasaki.
He has. Yep. And he tweeted 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
Breaking news. According to my sources, Roki Sasaki finally go to Los Angeles and sign a deal with the Dodgers. Hashtag Dodgers, hashtag Roki Sasaki.
Is that even a sentence?
It's not a sentence.
Finally go to?
Finally go to.
Okay, so that's Mike Rodriguez.
But
I think if you misspell your tweet, you're automatically just shelled from it.
Yeah, you got to spell your now. Heyman has misspelled tweets.
Oh, all the time, and he was wrong.
He was wrong.
Arson Judge the Giant.
Maybe because this does not make sense. According to my sources, Roki Sasaki finally go to Los Angeles. Maybe he's wrong too.
Well, let me ask Sammy. Okay, so Sammy Long is in for Brent today.
I need a passing bomb. Give it to me.
Yeah, I don't know what Brent's doing. I forget. Do you remember what Brent's doing?
Yeah, he's taking Peanut to the vet.
Sweet
all
Peanut.
day?
I guess.
Okay.
It's a cute dog.
And by the way, Brent never misses a day. And Sammy, of course, is heard each and every weekday 12 to 2, Fletch Zone with Ben Fletcher. So, I mean, you've reacted to all this. You've seen all this. I mean, where does this end up? Are we like, should we still be going down the path of this?
Sammy.
No,
tell us what happens.
No, but like, should we still be going down this path of, well, it's not over until it's over, or is it over?
Well, I don't think it's crazy what you guys are saying about it's not over till it's over, because normally I think you see reporting, you just take it as it is. But with Sasaki's case, we've heard so many different things. I mean, we've heard he doesn't want to have players come visit with him in meetings. And then earlier this week, we're seeing in LA, he's meeting with Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and all these guys. And then he's at Petco Park on Sunday. And then, months before, it was the Dodgers have a handshake deal, and Joel Wolf says that's not accurate. I don't know where they got this information. Then it was the Padres. Then it was the Yankees at one point. I remember a thing came out about how he was going to New York, and then he didn't want the large market. So this has been an absolute confusing mess. And I think, not hearing from Roki Sasaki, I don't really know if his agent's telling the truth. So I guess until he signs, I was talking with Fletch earlier. I thought if you narrow it down to 3 teams, just psychologically, you tell the Giants they're out, the Yankees and the Mets. Why wouldn't at this point, if the Padres were actually out, you would just sign with someone? Did it just happen?
Is it official?
Roki Sasaki to the Dodgers.
So he posted on Instagram, I have signed a contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Mike Rodriguez is right all along.
Apologize to him for misspelling it.
Roki Sasaki to the Dodgers.
Just a gut
now,
punch.
Jim did predict
a gut punch.
Jim did predict Instagram would be
told you.
Source. Again, I mean, all along we heard that they were the favorite, and it was accurate. Roki to the Dodgers.
The offseason from laugh. Hell.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Roki. Oh, God, I was really wishing it was the Blue Jays in this case, if it wasn't going to be the Padres. I mean, dude, worst case scenario.
It
right?
was, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, look, think about the last 6 months. You lose to the Dodgers in the postseason. They win the World Series. They add your former Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell. Now they add Roki Sasaki. I mean, it doesn't get worse than that for Padres fans. It doesn't get worse than that.
One thing from a Roki perspective, I think is interesting for him is I guess he's betting on himself because if you look at the Dodgers rotation, you have Glasnow, Shohei, Snell, and Yamamoto. He's slotted in as the 5th starter. So if he struggles at all during the year, I mean, we've never seen this guy pitch in the MLB. Everyone says he's great. Everyone says he's the next, Cy Young winner. But if you haven't seen that, is there a question that this guy is even starting in the playoffs for the Dodgers? I mean, if he struggles at all and you have a guy coming up, a Sheehan, someone like that, that's playing better, is there a shot that he's not starting in a playoff roster?
That goes back to, that's why it meant so much to the Padres. They need him. The Dodgers don't. We've said this all offseason. They really don't. They just won the World Series. They clearly don't need him. They didn't even have starting pitching in the postseason, by and large. To lose out on this player when it's basically an embarrassment of riches the other way, they don't need him, but they've added him. And here you are left holding what? A lawsuit. So that's it.
Yeah. I honestly, you got to laugh to keep yourself from crying because it's a joke.
I mean, a little bit. Again, I don't know.
Now,
I really don't know.
Am I shocked? No. Just seeing it though, I'm like, you got to be effing kidding me. The Dodgers. Worst case scenario. He goes to the Dodgers, and that's what happened.
I mean, was it a charade? Joe Wolf was very vocal that no, this is going to be, I'm offended by the idea that you would suggest that there's a handshake deal already in place, even though the reporting for 6 months was Sasaki's a Dodger.
Kawhi Leonard did it to the Lakers. He knew he was going to the Clippers the whole time and wasted and let the Lakers not sign anyone for 2 weeks and then sign with the Clippers. So there's something to that.
Roki doesn't want to go to a big market. Goes to the biggest market on the West Coast, second biggest market in the country.
It's not the biggest. Yeah.
Doesn't want to be in the spotlight. Wants to pave his own path. Gonna follow Ohtani and Yamamoto. Now I have to hate the guy. Now I have to officially hate the guy. That's unfortunate, but sorry, Roki. I hate you now. Unfollow.
Honestly, I don't like it. I don't like the charade. It does appear to be a charade to me. Why is Joel Wolf of the winter meetings yeah, he's going to take meetings and he hasn't made up his mind and there's a lot that's going to go into it. No, there isn't. This was an inevitability. By the way, what are the Blue Jays doing? Why are you adding international money today? What are you
what the hell?
What are you doing?
So that
what
is
are you doing?
So Robert Murray, who said to him,
how about Heyman 2 seconds ago?
Heyman's not Heyman, but Murray's yeah, this feels kind of like a desperation play by the Blue Jays. Well, it was a desperation.
But again,
play.
It goes back to no one had any clue other than the fact that maybe this was done all along. Heyman 1 minute ago was the Blue Jays are a real threat. No, they're not. Nobody was a real threat. By the way, there's no close second here. I don't care what he says. Well, it was a really tough decision. It was between San Diego and LA. No, it wasn't. Or it was between Toronto and LA. No, it wasn't. No, this is orchestrated. They had the timeline all along. And I don't know. I think he visited Toronto and San Diego to make it appear as if it was a fully legitimate sweepstakes.
Correct.
I really believe that. By having 7 or 8 meetings, by crossing teams off the list, the appearance is this is all above board and legitimate. But did he know all along? I have to ask that question. Did him and Yamamoto text in September of 2022? Let's just do this.
I was terrified when we found out the Dodgers were getting last, licks on this whole thing.
Right.
I can't help but think that pushed it over the top. To me, it feels like the Dodgers were already in pole position the entire way. Roki did his due diligence, saw Toronto, saw San Diego, got all the information that he possibly could get. But then he went back to the Dodgers knowing that they're still his favorite and just wanted to confirm some things and make sure that he was making the right choice. Dodgers pulled out all the stops. No surprise. You can't beat that. I don't know what the wait was for. You could have announced this on Wednesday and just put us all out of our misery.
Right.
Because the perception now is this was in the bag the entire time. And it has gone from bad to worse with this Padres offseason. Not only do you put so much effort and resources into landing Roki Sasaki, one, you don't get him. That sucks. But two, he goes to the Dodgers. Just
a double whammy.
The double whammy worst case scenario.
And again, the whole Yu Darvish is this fatherly figure, and
so much for that.
And by the way, what was the starting pitching matchup in Game 5 of the NLDS?
Sasaki versus Yamamoto.
No.
Or no, sorry.
Darvish
Yamamoto.
Darvish.
Yeah.
Darvish Yamamoto. All right, we're going to react. Roki Sasaki is an LA Dodger. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports Traffic. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkie.
AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. You'll be hearing it all, the untold story. This is the best thing that's ever happened to baseball.
Yeah.
It shows how deep of an organization the Dodgers are, how committed to winning they are, how they spare no expense. As Roki Sasaki has officially signed a contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which means he could be there for the next 15 years. 23 years of age. He'll be there at least for the next 6 years. It is officially official. Sasaki to the Dodgers, spurning the Padres and the Blue Jays. And again, LA coming off a World Series has only added here this offseason, with the latest being this Japanese superstar.
Yeah, if he's good, he ain't going anywhere.
It doesn't even matter. Who cares? It's next decade.
But that's my point, is like, if he's good, he's not going anywhere. Dodgers are not giving up this guy, and they're not going to not re-sign him if he turns out to be good. That's my point. Yeah, it's a gut punch. It is an absolute gut punch if you're a Padres fan. If you're the Padres, if you're AJ Preller, it's just worst case scenario. Because if he went to Toronto, at least it could be out of sight, out of mind. You know, you don't have to worry about facing him 12 times a year. You don't have to worry about him in the division. You don't have to worry about facing him in the postseason unless it's a World Series. Like, out of sight, out of mind for at least 6 seasons before the Dodgers would eventually sign him, right? Mm-hmm. So if the Padres were out this morning, which now they obviously were, right? I was rooting for the Blue Jays, and I'm sure every Padres fan was. Now, seeing that it's the Dodgers and that it's actually going to be them for the next 6 years, you better hope this guy's not good. Because if he turns out to be what everyone expects him to be, and he develops into that guy, just a brutal, brutal way to have the next 6 years go.
Honestly, it doesn't even matter for LA. They didn't have Sasaki last year. They didn't have Snell last year. They didn't have Glasnow healthy. Yamamoto had been ineffective at times. Shohei Ohtani didn't pitch last year. Think about that. Their rotation includes at least, and of course they'll use a 6-man rotation with them, includes at least Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, and Roki Sasaki. So, like, we've said this a lot in the offseason. Like, is there even a path at a division? We went into last year saying there's no shot, and the Padres won 93 games and actually made it competitive. The Dodgers have won the division, I think, 11 of the last 12 years. I mean, is there even a shot for anyone? Forget about the Padres, Giants, Rockies, Diamondbacks. Does anyone have any shot in this division against this type of, like, the amount of talent they've amassed is insanity. When you include the Freemans and the Betts and the Teoscar Hernandez and the Otanis and the Yamamotos and the Sasakis and the Snell, who's the 5th star? I mean, this is ridiculous. You have Cy Young Award winners that are going to be starting like 4th games of series.
But guess what? Can't do anything about it. Can't do anything about it. If you're the Padres, what are you going to do? Nothing. It's the big bully on campus that forever, or not forever, but the foreseeable future will be Big Brother. Little brother, Padres have to just deal with it. That's what it is. We're all the little brother here, and we have to accept it. Like, it sucks, but that's what it is. When you lose a 2-1 lead in the postseason to the Dodgers with home field advantage, you go 24 straight scoreless innings, then you have the offseason from hell, and you spend all your resources and all your time and effort to land Roki Sasaki, and then you lose out to the Dodgers of all teams, a team that just put you out of your misery in the postseason, came back, won the World Series, by the way. Dude, you just got to move on if you're the Padres, and there's nothing you could do.
Yeah, that's
the hard part.
I don't want to see the tweets. We've signed Joan De La Cruz and Carlos Alvarez.
No one cares. I get it.
We have the top international prospects in baseball. Who cares? They're 17.
I know.
They're hitting 200 in Fort Wayne. It seems like it's forever away. It's not to say these players don't have value. They may. Ethan Salas might be a terrific player. Leo DeVries could be a phenomenal player. Joan De La Cruz could be great. Carlos Alvarez, who knows? But you can't compare. It's almost like, from an organizational perspective, stop tweeting. Like, get to work, get to plan B. And the one thing about AJ Preller is he does not lack creativity. So, I mean, from Dylan Cease last year, the day the season started, to Luis Ariz in May, I mean, he'll put the best foot forward for the organization. But so far, minor league free agents and Joan De La Cruz ain't enough. It's just not. And I have no idea what plan B looks like when you got no money in your wallet.
I am with you, dude. The plan B is nothing that anybody wants to see, because the plan B is not going to be, I think, great. Now, if this were to happen,
okay,
in the next 2 weeks,
okay,
they re-sign Profar, they give a long-term contract extension to Michael King, they trade for another pitcher, they trade for an outfielder. How would you feel after that?
Yeah, better.
I feel better.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. If that don't happen, there's not really anything other than that will make Padres fans feel good. Like, you gotta do something now. You gotta sign Profar. You gotta lock up Michael King long term. You gotta make a trade for another pitcher. You gotta do something. Because if you get to FanFest and you get to spring training and you still haven't signed Profar and you went to arbitration with Michael King, I mean, it's just setting up to have a bad season. It really is.
Honestly, dude, also, like, and listen, I get it. Everyone's on Team Shildt. This has nothing to do with Shildt Seidler. I'm just saying this all is such a bad look. You got infighting going on when the number one player in the world is available to you potentially, and you got this playing out. This is the back and forth in the UT. She said this, they said that. Give me a break. You know what I mean? It's just the whole thing. Give me a break. From the way they lost in October to the lack of anything of substance all off season long, to the way this saga ends with the backdrop of this lawsuit over the last week, the whole thing is a bad look, man. The whole thing is a really bad look, and it's not necessarily reality. They might get on the field and start the season 6-2, and everything changes because they've gotten off to a good start. And what matters is what happens on field. It's not like they all of a sudden went from a 93-win team to the worst team in baseball because of what the Dodgers are doing. That hasn't happened. But, like, adapt or die. You got to keep up, and they are doing the opposite of that.
I mean, tell you what, Mike Shildt, bro, you effed up, man. You effed up. Like, you shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I will be the one that will be referencing Mike Shildt saying this. Probably nobody else will. But hearing this from your manager early on in this process, dude, if I'm a fan of this team, I am pissed at Mike Shildt for saying this.
Should be very legitimate contenders. We'd fully expect to be right in the mix, and actually at the end of the day, have Sasaki a Padre.
Yeah. Like, don't say that,
don't
dude.
speak out of turn.
Don't say that.
This is too important to too many people and too big of a player.
You
stay away. Like you say, you get people's hopes up.
You get people's hopes up, and then when he doesn't come here and then goes to the Dodgers, you even look more like an idiot for saying that. Just keep your mouth shut, Mike. Like, you can say you're optimistic and we feel really good about our chances, but don't drop we expect him to be in a Padres uniform. Because guess what? Now he's not going to be, and he's going to be pitching against you in a Dodgers uniform. Congratulations.
877-767-4760 if you want to vent, or 70470. Start it with the word team, or you can hit us up on the text line. Just open up the free iHeartRadio app. Search for San Diego Sports 760. Tap that little microphone icon to leave a 30-second talk back. Roki has signed with the Dodgers. We react. It's Jon and Jim.
Not all products are available in all 50 states. Compounded products are not FDA approved nor verified for safety, efficacy, or quality. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. See website for full details.
Why try Hims for now.
All right, this update is brought to you by unbound.org. It's official. Roki Sasaki is an LA Dodger. Sucks. What other news is here? San Diego State takes on UNLV tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Tip-off 4 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family. The food on the table, you can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Imagine that conversation between Joel Wolf and AJ Preller. Hey, AJ. Oh, what's up, Joel? How did he like the rodeo when he threw the side session at the rodeo? Oh, he thought it was great, but he's going to the Dodgers. So yeah, he'll pitch there for the Dodgers. Like, how did they receive the news?
Probably not well, John.
No, not like how did they receive it, but how did they get it?
Oh, maybe the
from
Instagram,
Francis Romero.
Maybe the Instagram post from Roki a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, but you think they realized they were out from Romero, or do you think they got a call?
Probably got a call.
Or they should have gotten a call.
Because when they went radio silent, to me, that wasn't a good sign. And also, probably like, what's the point of announcing that you're out? Just kind of conduct your business in silence and just move on. Like what's the point of announcing that you're out? Just kind of maybe just let it go. I don't know. I mean, I'm not letting it go. Padres fans are going to let it go. This is awful. This sucks.
Yeah, how about speak with the media at some point? Like maybe when you sign this international class of Joan De La Cruz and Carlos Alvarez, you take some questions on.
I'm sure
your pursuit of road. No, they won't.
They'll talk to the media eventually. I'm
sure
Preller
with
will
their
talk.
international scouting director.
Yeah, and then it will be a bunch of nothing
until we hear from Eric Atsenda in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it would do the franchise, well, if they made a move right now and they re-signed Jurickson Profar or they locked up Michael King.
But even that, man, you can't fool Padres fans.
Do you think the top three was BS, or do you think he actually narrowed it down to the top three?
I think it was BS.
I think he did narrow it down because he did go and meet with these teams. I think it was a due diligence play of the Dodgers were always his favorite from the jump. And just to make sure that he turned over every stone and that he checked everything out and didn't have any questions before he, signed on the dotted line with the Dodgers, he went to go to Toronto and San Diego. Just to make sure that you don't have any questions about anything. You don't have any temptation. And then if you sign with somebody without looking at other places, you're not sitting there at night being like, what if? So the what if was out of there, even though the Dodgers were the favorites the whole time.
Yeah, or he just did it to make it seem as if it was a completely
I don't think that's
fair process.
Oh, I don't think he did this with intention of being fake and
I think he knew he was going to the Dodgers the whole time.
See,
I really do.
I think he had the Dodgers as his number one the whole time.
It was just an ode to you, Darvish. He felt like he had to give the Padres a run.
I also think that, just seeing everything before you make your decision and making sure that once you've seen everything, that it reaffirms in your mind that, okay, the Dodgers were number one the whole time. This cements it.
I think he knew he was going to LA.
I do too, but I also think that he wanted to make sure that he saw everything before he made the final decision. That's how I view it. I don't think he did this as a sham. I don't think he was, jerking everybody around and wasted everybody's time. I really don't. I think that, yes, the Dodgers were always the number one for him, but I do firmly believe that this was a process that he wanted to go through to make sure that him picking the Dodgers was 100% the right choice, even though it was his favorite from the jump.
Right, which always goes back to the hill the Padres had to climb to overtake the Dodgers never existed. Wasn't going to be, well, they've developed Michael King. The hill to climb was so big that you wonder if it was even possible. All right, to the phones, 877-767-4760. Rick is online, too. If you want to weigh in on Roki choosing the Dodgers, 877-767-4760. Rick, you're on with Jon and Jim.
2025 Padres season tickets sold out. 2025 Padres games mostly sold out. Seidler brothers could care less, and they don't care what the look is. Maybe Peter Seidler would have cared, but these guys could care less. They already have everybody's money, and going forward, they have Petco Park, a great place to see baseball. So I think they could care less about the look. They're already sold out. Thank you.
Thanks for the
All right,
call,
thank
Rick.
you from the bunker call.
Well,
Rick.
he has the point there. I don't agree with, but I do think that by them having sold out Petco this year for season tickets, they're gonna get damn near 3 million fans if they play decent. They still have superstar players on the roster. Like, I love watching Jackson Maryland, Manny Machado, and Tatis, and Michael King pitch. Like, still got some really exciting players on that team. That is also like maybe a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's something that they can hide behind. You know, like, hey, you're right. Group can come out and talk on the radio and be like, oh, I mean, we got season tickets sold out. We got this sold out. Everything sold out. You know, yeah, we want to put a better product on the field, but when the business at the box office is good, you know, you don't have that much pressure on you to go out and be like, at all cost, we're going to do everything possible.
I've always said that. Like, they're a marketing machine. The San Diego Padres should be lauded for their ability to market and be relevant. They've always resonated in the post-Peter era, in the Peter Seidler era and beyond. They have resonated. They have drawn. They will continue to draw. But are they committed to winning at the highest level? Or are they committed to being the number one entertainment draw in sports in San Diego? They've done an amazing job drawing. But can they tie drawing to winning? And I don't know the answer to it. They've won, but they haven't won at the high level that we're hoping for. Again, Manny Machado is here, in my opinion, to win a World Series. Let's go back to the phone. Sarah wants to vent. That's why we're here. Sarah, you're on with Jon and Jim.
Hi, Jon and Jim. I watch you guys all the time.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
I'm a silent watcher, but it's just like really sad because I'm actually crying.
Don't
And
cry.
it's just sad because now like Dodger fans are going to be even more annoying than they usually are, and I just hate them. And I mean, I have no words. It sucks, and I just feel really bad for Darvish because even like in the last game, he was the only one who actually did something.
Yeah.
Everyone went scoreless for 24 innings. So I just feel really bad for Darvish, and I mean, just like fans of San Diego sports, we deserve better. I feel like, I don't know, like these Seidler bros need to leave. Like they just have to get away.
Thanks for the
Thank you,
call,
Sarah.
Sarah. Don't cry. Please, this is what I want you to do, Sarah. I want you to just not go on social media. Don't even subject yourself to it, because Dodger fans are going to do another lap around the Padres today for landing Roki, and it's just not worth it. Like it's just not worth it. Don't go on social media. Probably delete the app. Like, just don't even bother, because they're not worth your time.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, I get it from a Dodger fan perspective. I get it today. Like, I'd be
circling around, yeah.
pumping out my chest today too if this was the situation that the Padres were in. I mean, imagine the reverse. The reverse is the Dodgers don't score for 24 innings. The reverse is the Padres land Roki.
You're never letting them.
You'll never hear the end of it. It's like what's fair is fair, and it sucks to be on this side of it. And it's not Padres fans' fault that when the season mattered the most, the Padres went into a shell of themselves for 24 consecutive innings. And it's not Padres fans' faults that this organization has been silent all offseason, completely silent all offseason. And who knows when that ends? Who knows when that ends?
I'm anxious to read what Kevin wrote here, because
I read it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. There's nothing in it.
Okay. It's just the Padres overwhelming.
Fact.
The Padres underwhelming offseason reached another level of disappointment on Friday. Yeah, it did. It really did. It reached the level of disappointment where you're sitting there and, you know, what do we do all the time? We always think of scenarios on how to make this team better. Like, okay, if they trade this player, if they trade for this player, or if they sign this player, if they get Roki, right? I'm really hard pressed to find that path that I talked about yesterday that works out. Like the two paths of the fork in the road I was talking about. One path is doomsday scenario, lose out Roki, you don't re-sign Michael King, you go to arbitration with him, you don't re-sign Jurickson Profar, you go to spring training with a bunch of, you know, non-roster minor league invites, and then you just go from there. Or the other path is you either land Roki, or you get him or you don't, but you re-sign Profar, you re-sign Michael King, you make a trade or two, and you can say that, yeah, we lost out on Roki and it sucks, but at least we retooled some pieces that we desperately needed to have on this team.
Roki on Instagram called it a very difficult decision, but I will do my best to make it the right decision when I look back after my baseball career. Roki Sasaki to the Dodgers. He announced it on Instagram. We'll get your calls on the other side. 877-767-4760. It's Jon and Jim. Jon and Jim back with you, San Diego Sports 760. If you want to vent, if you want to react, Roki is a Dodger, of course. You can call us 877-767-4760. We, all the narratives. We can't have nice things. The rich get richer. Whatever you want to say. I mean, we want to hear from you. So a number of you have been very patient on the phones. Again, 877-767-4760. Let's start with line 1. And Richard, thanks for the patience. And you're on with Jon and Jim.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. It's Richard from Springfield, Missouri. Yeah, I'm not tickled happy about this whole entire signing. I think the kid was pulling our string and saying, oh, yeah, you guys have an opportunity to sign me. And the entire time it was Dodgers, Dodgers, Dodgers. It sucks. Like, why do that to us? Like, knowing that we're wanting a championship, we wanting, you to be a part of this, and he was just pulling our strings the entire time. It's frustrating when you have an athlete that knows that they have the ability to do this, and we just kind of milk it. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of sucks. But I kind of knew that as soon as the Dodgers were on the board, it was going to be a Dodgers all the way. They've been signing people left and right with basically, I call it dirty money, because eventually it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. But we're looking at 8 to 10 years of Dodgers success, and it's going to be hard for us to even sign anybody when like, let's say, for an example, I don't know, some high dollar veteran that we have an opportunity to go and sign, and Dodgers are just going to sweep out of nowhere and say, oh, we'll sign you for X amount of dollars, and we just beat out the Padres again. And it's like, dang it. Why?
Richard, we appreciate you. No, I mean, I get the frustration. I mean, some of it, I don't disagree with the idea that it's like he just had us on a string and always knew that this was the end result. The Lucy football analogy. Like, Charlie thinks he's going to kick the football. Lucy always pulls it away. Like, I get that. I feel that frustration.
I feel it too, but I also want to remind people this had nothing to do with money. Nothing. So
we say that, maybe not for the player, but like one franchise has money to spend to win over and over and over again.
I'm talking about individually for Roki.
Yeah, but that's
this is
not
about money.
the only. But that's not the only. No, it's not about money for him. It's about the ability for the organization to sustain success. What does that take? Money.
I also think this, again, his number one priority was where can he go to be developed the best.
I thought that was here.
I thought so too.
That was the pitch.
Well, it was the pitch everywhere, John.
So that was ultimately the difference. The Dodgers do that much better than these other teams.
Well, it's easy to talk to one of your best friends and ask him about his experience with the Dodgers.
But what part of development does Yamamoto know about the Dodgers?
What do you mean?
He's been there for a year. He was 25 when he got there. He had pitched professionally for 7 years.
Yeah.
What does he know about being developed?
And Tyler Glass now had the same pitch. Like, dude, if you want to go somewhere that's going to give you all the advanced analytics,
yeah,
and
but that's not development.
Well, it has a big part to do with it.
That's
John.
not. Now we're saying now it's not development. Now it's now analytics. That's moving the goalposts. Glass now got there as a veteran. Yamamoto got there as a veteran. That should not be the pitch for this guy's. He's not a finished product. He has to be developed.
I do think Yamamoto grew through the year, though. I mean, he got
He
shelled.
made 18 starts as a 26-year-old, though. I mean, it's
He
not
had
like
3
he was.
ERA.
And he was
But
terrible to start the year in Korea, and then had that excellent game against the Yankees, and then was
And
great.
he was
in the World
great.
Series.
But I'm saying he was developed by the Dodgers. That's the difference. That Yamamoto was developed by the Dodgers in his 6-month stint last year. I don't see it like
Dodgers
that.
aren't just being like, hey, Yamamoto, go pitch. Like, they're doing things to help him get better.
Yeah, well, obviously, but all the teams are. All of them.
But it was deemed by Roki that the Dodgers were the best at it of the teams that he spoke with.
I think it's more the sense that Preller couldn't get the sales job done versus the fact that you could have said you get a chance to go beat these guys every single year and be the number one star on this Padre team outside of Fernando Tatis and maybe Jackson Merrill. But Andrew Friedman's pitch job was easy. Do you want to go win a ring? He
What
just
if
showed that.
What if it had nothing to do with development and he wanted to play with Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto in LA?
I bet you that had a big factor to do as well.
Maybe that was more of it.
Yeah. So again, it from the beginning, it was going to be tough to land him. I do think that they got a fair shot, but I also think while they were on their date, Yamamoto in the back of his mind was still thinking about the Dodgers.
Yeah, probably. I agree. Now with the benefit of hindsight.
And his meeting with the Padres and the Blue Jays probably was what he needed to make sure that his decision about the Dodgers was what he personally thought was best for himself.
Let's go back to the phones. 877-767-4760. Ahmed on line 5. You're on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in.
Hey guys, just calling in, providing a bit of a Toronto Blue Jays fan perspective. Obviously a tough one. I'm starting to get really frustrated with the game and maybe Rob Manfred because the Blue Jays can't give money away. I know this wasn't a money play for Roki, but they freed up some international cap space earlier today with the Straw deal with Cleveland. They could pay him a little bit more. It sounds like we're close on every single player, but we just don't land the big fish. And honestly, I don't know if we'll ever find the reason as to why Sasaki chose the Dodgers, but it felt like they were the front runners through and through, and it's just another tough day. I just don't know what we're going to do, who we're going to sign. It's just rough. I hope that the league can do something about it just for competitive balance reasons. My childhood was ruined by, the evil empire and the Yankees and the Red Sox and their arms race going up. And this probably feels the same way in San Diego. Thanks for the call.
It's a good call. I mean, the one thing I would say, there are some similarities. The Blue Jays have tried to win. The
Hope you keep Vladdy, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, the difference being, though, like the Blue Jays can always hang their hat on, you won back-to-back World Series. Yeah, it was a generation ago. Padres haven't. Like, you know what I mean? Yes, as the game changes and evolves, as it looks like a franchise like Toronto, it's hard to keep up in the AL East. Like, you won twice in the 90s. Again, it's a long time ago. I get it. Understandable. You're a Niners fan. It's a long time since they've won. But the difference between the Padres and the Blue Jays, the difference between the Chargers and the Niners is at the end result. Like, some of these franchises at the end of the day have rings. Like, you could say whatever you want about the Marlins. At the end of the day, they got 2 rings. And I get it. It's frustrating for all, but it's really frustrating here because isn't the whole point here to win one?
And what makes this even tougher is that all 3 teams, I know you're going to push back on this, all 3 teams had a fair shot at Roki from a standpoint of there was no one team that had more money than the other. Now the Blue Jays did have more money, but I mean, we're talking about just like millions of dollars, not hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Each team got to meet with Roki. Each team got to pitch, what their whole entire plan was for Roki. It came down to who had the better pitch. And it's hard to beat the Dodgers when, they have all the resources. They have the World Series now. They have the best player in the sport. They have one of his really good friends in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They have cornered the Japanese market. And it's really hard to turn that down. Really hard.
And Jim, I think to your point there, like there was also the thing that why I think Preller didn't get it done was there was a detriment to that. You needed that endorsement money because you couldn't sign a $325 million contract like Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
LA's going to give you that.
Yeah, but Ohtani's going to get the first crack. Then Yamamoto's going to get the second.
Right.
Outside of diehard baseball fans, they don't know who Roki Sasaki is. So the Padres could have sold that you were going to get endorsement money. No, San Diego's not LA in terms of the market size, but you could have got some endorsement money. And
I already see it now. I'm envisioning a national commercial with like either New Balance or whatever,
with all 3 of them.
And all 3 of them are going to be in it, and it is just going to suck because it's not like these guys are bad players. You got the best player in the sport. You got a really good pitcher in Yamamoto, could become a great. And you got the same thing with Roki.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that all teams didn't have a fair shot to land them, but I'm not saying they did either. Until I hear more about the recruitment process. Again, I'm not saying that they didn't, but I'm not saying that they did. And some of it to me feels a little bit like what went on with super teams in the NBA. You don't really know the way it transpires, but it's very easy for this process to play out via text.
Like when LeBron went to Miami.
With
Bosch and D-Wade.
And there was no collusion, according to the league. There's no collusion in those determinations. And I'm not saying there is here, but I'm just saying, how do we know that everything was above board? I'm not saying that it wasn't. But how do we know? We'll get back to your calls on the other side. We are here until 6 p.m. Again, it's a frustrating day. Another one, a series of frustrating days since the end of the 2024 baseball season for Padres fans. If you want to vent and react, 877-767-4760. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
Don't skip out on OGs this new year. They've added
This update's brought to you by Unbound.org. It's official. Roki Sasaki announcing on his Instagram page that he has picked the Dodgers. He will be with the Dodgers for the next 6 years minimum. San Diego State takes on UNLV tomorrow night, 5 p.m. tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
I want to see this franchise break through. You spent all your dollars and all your time and all your resources on this team. Just because they got to face the Dodgers, that doesn't make it some incredible season.
Yeah, the loser mentality is, well, at least we got Like,
we went 5 games.
You mad, bro?
At least we went 5 games. At least we were finalists for Roki. At least we got to talk to Aaron Judge. That would have never happened before.
That is such a loser mentality. I can't express it to you even more.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, Jon and Jim. As you know by now, Roki has chosen the Dodgers. The Dodgers have freed up additional money. They've added international dollars to help them make this signing. Again, it doesn't have to do with money, but they're getting more money. So, again, he's already announced that he's going to sign with LA. And that whole months-long pursuit, all the discussion, all the back and forth has come to an end with what a lot of people thought all along. A lot of the reporters on this thought all along he would end up as an LA Dodger. We don't exactly know how it came to be, but a lot of people thought all along he was going to be an LA Dodger. And guess what today, Jim? He's an LA Dodger. I guess a lot of people just all guessed correctly. A lot of people.
Do you feel like this was a waste of time?
No, we didn't have other things really going on. So no, not necessarily.
Trust me, I wanted this to go on as long as possible.
Yeah, no,
I'm talking about just from a Padre standpoint. Like you try so hard and you invest so much time. It's not just this offseason. It's like years and years of recruiting this guy and scouting him and sending people to Japan and speaking to him and thinking about him. Like, do you feel like that all was a waste of time?
No, but maybe. I don't know. How would you feel if you were in AJ Preller's shoes and you did all the work?
Oh, I would be.
You put in the work to come up empty-handed.
Dude, I would be like depressed right now.
Like
I seriously would.
10 interviews for your dream job, you don't get it. You know, you keep interviewing. Oh my gosh, dream job. I get a 3rd interview, 5th, 7th.
But it's about,
and then you don't get it.
But it's like, I'm more saying like the years spent, like putting the resources in.
That's the job. That's the job. I mean, there's a lot of international players they don't land. That is the job. Now, this is just the most high-profile international player since Shohei Ohtani, which, by the way, they had also invested a lot of resources in and also finished on the outside.
It's like you're talking to a girl for like 6 months, and then she ghosts you and goes with another dude. You're like, what?
And it's real life. Things like this happen. People think they're going to get their dream job. They don't. People go on dates. They think they're going to marry the one and they don't. And this is the business. They're going to scout a lot of players. And sometimes you end up on the wrong side. I mean, listen, look at Juan Soto. I mean, I remember with the Juan Soto trades, like, are they really going to land Juan Soto? And in that moment they did. That was incredibly, exciting. And then when you end up on the wrong side like this, it's incredibly deflating.
Yeah.
All right, we can go to the phones, 877-767-4760. 877-767-4760. But I'm not in the position right now where I think that he didn't believe he was going to LA all along. I'm really not. We'll see. I might change. All right, let's go to Tim. Tim's been very patient on line 2. Tim, you're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Okay.
Hey, just a couple of things. I felt bad for that gal that called in crying. Usually in situations like this, I try to get a little bit of perspective. We just had all those fires up in LA. People lost their lives, lost their homes. So sports, I get it. It's what you guys do. It's what it's important to me also, but I try to put things in perspective. It's not the end of the world. Couple things on Sasaki though. I think he was interested in the Padres, but to be honest with you, if I was an aspiring pitcher trying to make it in MLB, I'd probably go to the Dodgers too. I mean, they develop pitchers probably better than any team out there, in my opinion. The Padres can re-sign Profar, lock up King, do whatever they want to do. But to me, it's sort of, David and Goliath, and David's just, getting himself a better slingshot to try and fight Goliath. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the same thing as it's been the last few years, battling the Dodgers, is trying to get into the postseason and then make a run at them in a short set. So that hasn't changed, really. They're loaded to the gills, but if the Padres can get in there and make a run at them, get hot at the right time, anything can happen. And then finally, all I want to say is MLB needs to make some serious changes about the salary cap and this deferred money nonsense. I think it's created a monster, and we're seeing that play out.
Appreciate you, man. Good call. Really good call.
Yeah, I mean, to put things into perspective, there's much more important things than where Roki Sasaki plays baseball for the next 6 years.
100%. But our job is to talk about it, you know.
And then on the Roki front, like, changing deferrals, like that's the Ohtani conversation. That's not the Sasaki conversation. But to his point, like, yeah, I would have gone to the Dodgers too, probably. They are the button-up company. They are the company that is constantly number one in whatever they do. They have all the revenue. They have all the resources. They have, whatever they want at their disposal. They are the company that, constantly gets awards year after year after year, being the best in the business. Like, they win at a high clip. They are going to win every single year that Sasaki's in a Dodgers uniform. Every single year. You can't say that about Toronto, and you can't say that about the Padres.
Yeah, well, it's like, what do you want? I mean, you want to go somewhere and win at a high level, but never be remembered as the great on that team, or do you want to go do something somewhere that's never been done ever? I think there's different types of athletes. I think the athlete that chooses here and wins for a first time ever will be remembered in a much larger manner than an athlete that goes somewhere and just wins for a franchise that's won 20 times. And the Dodgers haven't won 20 times, but my example would be like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant went somewhere that was winning, won, and still isn't remembered as a great even there.
This guy's not Kevin Durant, though. I know I joked about it on Twitter, but
he's not Kevin Durant in regards to
he's not already an MVP going
100%. I don't think I'll ever touch Kevin Durant's status within his sport. Truthfully, I don't think he'll be the best player on his team.
No, but he has potential to be an ace.
Yeah, and Kevin Durant's an ace
among with their other aces
Kevin
like
Durant's
Blake Snell and Trinan not Trinan, Glass now.
But KD's an ace is my point.
Yeah.
But how's he remembered for Warrior fans? He didn't do something that no other Warriors.
Look, I loved it. I loved it when he joined. That was great.
Yeah, but what's his legacy in San Francisco? I don't think it's the same as Steph Curry's. All right, let's go back to the phones. We'll start with line 6. Jane, you're on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in, Jane.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My first time calling you guys.
Thanks for calling.
You haven't been around that long. But I just had a couple of things. First of all, unfortunately, we're a little brother. We're number 2. And I had to finally admit that after last season when the Dodgers won the World Series. Mm-hmm. But enough of them. I'm not a big liker on the Dodgers, but I do love Peter Seidler. However, I think you guys need to apply some critical thinking, because it blows my mind that a businessman would not leave their major business in the best possible hands and know what those hands are. And I even heard tell somebody on your show, it was either you two or someone that called in, basically saying that, Peter Seidler didn't know he was going to die, or he didn't really think it was that imminent. But I don't feel like that's any kind of an excuse.
So
let me say that.
Let me just ask you this question, Jane. So you're a big Peter Seidler fan, you trusted him and you trust his opinion and everything they did, right?
Correct.
Okay. So with that being said, if in his will and what he wrote down is to be true and found out that the trustees he wrote down would be his brothers, then wouldn't you have to respect and honor his decision there because you already trust him in the first place?
Okay, I don't know those details, and if that's true, definitely I would respect it.
Okay.
My other thing is, though, like the Sasaki thing,
Mm-hmm.
AJ, he had to go out and he had to do his due diligence, and he probably, believed that he could possibly pull the trigger, but I think it was also a money issue as well, and I feel like it's come to a screeching halt ever since the brothers took over. Like, they don't spend a cent, and now we're not in the same mode like we were with Peter.
I agree with that 100%. Thank you, Jane, for the call. I agree they're not in the same mode when Peter was here.
What she heard us talk about is what Shildt Seidler had written in the lawsuit, which was Shildt and the Seidlers were not aware that his death was imminent, that it came as a surprise to the family. Peter had a good bill of health check that spring or summer. Mm-hmm. The fact that he passed that fall, I don't know if you ever expect someone to pass, but Shildt wrote, it was
unexpected
and unexpected. That's what Shildt Seidler wrote in her lawsuit. 877-767-4760. Let's go to Todd. Todd, you're on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in, man.
How you doing, guys?
Good, man. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I'm on the 5, so I'm trying to hear you as best I can, but just wanted to weigh in on Sasaki. I do believe it's about the money, and I believe that the Dodgers, who are increasing payroll at record levels, can present to them a much better situation than the Padres, who are cutting payroll. So I believe that they probably told them, if you perform in the first 2 years, we'll buy out your arbitration years, and we'll give you a 14-year Tatis statute contract or a Acuna 8-year contract. And I think that that's ultimately what it became about.
Thanks for the call, Todd. I don't know the exact rules, but I don't think they can do that. I think they have to wait a certain amount of time before they can present a contract extension to Roki, like maybe 3 or 4 years.
I didn't even think the Angels could extend him in that 6th year. Could they have?
Ohtani?
Yeah.
I think they could have.
I didn't know if they could or not.
Like there's rules from you can't just all of a sudden land an international prospect and immediately sign that guy to like a 15-year deal.
I agree with this point, though. Like the Dodgers have shown in their actions, they're committed to winning. Have the Padres. End of the day.
So, okay. I
Great
agree.
point.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But if that were a reason why Sasaki didn't pick here, then why even give the Padres time of day?
Because I think the Padres have, for the better part of the last 5 years, shown a commitment to winning and spending. But are they doing it? Are they still doing it? Are they committed to doing it? Wouldn't you want to sit down with them and say, what's your plan? Is the payroll going to increase? Because right now it doesn't appear as if it is. I mean,
and maybe that was a question he asked, and maybe he got an answer they didn't like. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, if that were a reason and factor before this, then why even give the Padres the lot of day?
Well, if it was always going to come down to spend, of course, the Dodgers were going to be the top spender.
Correct, but this was not about spend.
I think it is about spend. I really think it's about spend. Because spend is tied to success. The teams that spend oftentimes have more success than the teams that don't. And the Padres spending, we've been highly critical of them for 18 months. Their spending has come down.
Correct.
And their spending has come down at the expense of what? Potentially winning.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. You don't spend the same amount. You're not going to win at the same clip. Like, there's no getting around that. Yeah, there's one-off examples. The 15th highest payroll team can win a World Series, but the 23rd highest payroll team doesn't win World Series, and the top 2, 3, 4 spenders routinely are among the best teams in the sport. That's why people have issues with it.
Yeah,
they want caps.
Yeah, rarely do you see a team with the 15th, 16th, 17th highest payroll win the World Series.
It has happened, but what about 20th or 25th? And the teams in the top 3, how often has a team in the top 3 or 5 won a World Series? I think it's happened a good amount.
Top 10 at least.
Top 10, certainly. But I mean, I think going back to the mid-90s with the New York Yankees, there's been a lot of top spenders that have been some of the best teams in baseball. We'll get back to your calls coming up. We're here until 6 p.m. reacting to Roki choosing the Dodgers over the Padres and the Blue Jays. You can text us 70470, start it with team, or you can call us 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in. It's Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports.
Up with San Diego Sports 760 anytime, anywhere. Whether you're stepping out of the car or settling in at home, just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760 or stream it live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows like this one. San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. Old friend Jim Bowden, multiple-time general manager in Major League Baseball, has chimed in. Now, neither of us have heard this fully, but he has commented on the Dodgers landing Sasaki.
Interesting.
And how other teams feel about this maybe being like a pre-cut deal or like like this was a handshake deal all along.
Which is what like the report was early on in this process, which was quickly shut down by his agent, Joel Wolf, who, let me remind you, also said that Sasaki would be best fit and probably most likely would go to a place with a small market to have a soft landing. Instead, he goes to LA.
So, okay, let's listen to this together. Jim Bowden apparently thinks multiple teams will ask Major League Baseball to investigate Roki Sasaki signing with the Dodgers. Let's listen.
I think you're going to find that there's going to be multiple teams that are going to ask the commissioner's office to investigate this particular signing, because I can tell you there were several front offices that believed there was a pre-cut deal between the Los Angeles Dodgers and Roki Sasaki before this process started and before the window came where you're allowed to negotiate with the player. This was, of course, denied by his camp. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But, you know, it was denied to such an extent that it makes you scratch your head a little bit. And what I mean by that is, you know, we were told that, you know, probably a small market would make sense because of the trouble he had with the media over in Japan. We were told that endorsements played a big role, but, you know, Los Angeles really wouldn't work because you'd be in the shadow of Ohtani and Yamamoto. I mean, there were all these reasons to kind of defend on why there wasn't a pre-cut deal, which works as long as you don't end up signing with the Dodgers. But look, this ended up exactly where almost every front office told me he was going to end up. They all thought it was a done deal before the process started. And so, yeah, I'm sitting here at the end kind of scratching my head and then really believing that this will be investigated by the commissioner's office at some point.
John's like clapping.
Yeah. Give me a Chris Paul, man.
Give me Chris Paul.
Step in, dude.
What the hell's going on here?
But again, I think it's a fair opinion. I don't know if it's going to be investigated. I'm not a former GM, but I think it's a fair opinion that he always knew his destination. And the whole process of sorting teams was all done to provide cover for where he ultimately wanted to land. I think that's a fair opinion that we actually often shared together when we said, if he ends up with the Dodgers, are we going to just say this was a sham all along?
It's like shocker.
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's what played out, but I'm also saying I don't know if it hasn't played out that way.
Yeah, I would be curious to hear like lie detector test, like what the Padres truly feel about this. Do they do you know, the Toronto Blue Jays, like do they feel the same way that what Jim Bowden is saying there? Or do they feel like, no, we just lost out type of thing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the fact that they waited so long is that knowing that it was an international signing bonus, this wasn't cutting into your money to go sign MLB free agents. They built their whole free agency around signing Sasaki. So it hurts even more for San Diego that he's not coming.
Well, they're also going to be able to sign some players during this international period. They're not going to be SOL. But what I will go hard on, pause, is when and everybody heard Joel Wolf at his like State of the Union press conference. Bro, everything you said is BS. Everything you said is BS. Small market. He doesn't like, he really was hurt by the Japanese media. So, you know, to go somewhere where it's easier for him it's going to be best. Like, bro, everything you said in that press conference at the winter meetings is looking awful right now.
Yeah. So doesn't that kind of back up what Bowden is saying and how others are feeling? Probably. Well, why were you saying that if that in fact wasn't the case? By the way, Roki Sasaki will get $6.5 million. That's the exact amount. He will get $6.5 million from the Dodgers for his 6 years, or $1.09 million per year, but $6.5 million for Again, Roki Sasaki to the Dodgers. That is official. He announced it on Instagram. If you want to weigh in, 877-767-4760. Let's go to John, who's been very patient. Again, a lot of you have been very patient. We appreciate it. So call in if you want to weigh in or vent. 877-767-4760. John, thanks for calling in. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, Jon and Jim, for giving us a space to chat about this. I want to go in a little bit of a different direction. Maybe somebody mentioned this. I just popped in the car after work. But, the thing that seems to separate us from the Dodgers and why it seems like such an attractive spot is because of their revenue sources. And, we sell out Petco. I heard all the season tickets are already sold for the coming year. We got great merchandise sales and concessions and all of that. But this daggum TV deal and our limited revenues from the ridiculous challenges we've had with the television deal in San Diego seems like that's what separates us from Los Angeles. They just got this money making machine with their TV deal. They can sign a ton of great players, and then when somebody like looks at all of that and says, "Man, I want to get into that space where they've got like an all-star team," because they can just shell out the big bucks for that. So what's the deal with San Diego's television deal and the revenue sources that we could tap into over the long haul that gives us the opportunity to make this just the place that everybody wants to come?
Thank
so
you, John.
You guys,
yeah.
Okay?
I appreciate the call. The deal with the Padres TV deals, it doesn't exist.
They don't have one.
And it's a huge hindrance.
Huge disadvantage.
And we've talked about it. This has happened even when Peter was living. I think the last year, they were running into these obstacles. The Padres get essentially nothing, and the Dodgers get over $200 million per year in TV revenue. That's a big discrepancy.
This is the biggest problem with baseball, in my opinion, is that you have teams getting so much revenue from local television contracts that it creates a disadvantage in your sport. You don't get that in football. You don't get that in basketball. You don't get that in the NHL. Right. You get an even revenue split. And in baseball, for whatever reason, the sport has decided that, one, we're never going to have a salary cap, and two, we're going to have teams have the rich and the poor. And the teams that are rich are going to have all the advantages, and the teams that are the poor teams, well, you're SOL.
So the Dodgers TV deal is $334 million per year for 25 consecutive years. It covers their entire payroll, even their payroll. $334 million. The Padres at one point was $60 million when it was Fox Sports and Bally. And then they went to MLB.TV. We have no idea what they're getting. They might be getting $6 million. Compare a $6 million TV deal to $334 million. And that's hard to compete with. We'll get to more of your calls on the other side. We're here until 6 p.m. We're reacting to the huge breaking baseball news. Roki has chosen the Dodgers over the Padres and the Blue Jays. We continue to react until 6 p.m. on Jon and Jim.
I'm Chris Walls, and I'm a truck driver.
All right, this update is brought to you by unbound.org. It's official. Roki Sasaki is an LA Dodger. His international signing bonus is $6.5 million. He'll be with the Padres. He'll be with the Dodgers for the next 6 seasons minimum, moving over to the Aztecs. They take on UNLV tomorrow night, 5 p.m. tip, 4 p.m. pregame. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL playoff action on the station this weekend, Rams and Eagles. You can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Jon and Jim back with you here until 6. We'll get your calls if you want to weigh in. Sasaki to the Dodgers, 877-767-4760. LA will not be at Petco Park until June 9th.
Where it will be Yamamoto, Sasaki, and Ohtani, 1, 2, 3.
Or who even knows if he pitches
Or Blake
here.
Snell.
Well, yes, true. But with the 6-man rotation and 2 3-game series, I think, at Petco this year against the Dodgers, who even knows if he pitches at Petco Park? But we won't see the renewal of the series until June of 2025. But consider this. The Dodgers will open in Tokyo against the Cubs, where he may not even pitch because of Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, to your point, Glasnow, etc. But again, the Dodgers do open in Tokyo in Japan.
Shildt Seidler has...
Oh, has she weighed in?
She's weighed in on this, John.
I want to hear what she has said.
She, she claims that she's the Padres owner. In her profile, She says San Diego Padres owner.
Okay.
She tweeted just moments ago, disappointing news, but fully confident in AJ, Mike, and all the players to deliver another great season. Hashtag LFGSD, heart emoji, heart emoji.
Okay. But I like to see that from someone representing ownership, even if she isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
I am, I tend to believe what Shildt has put out there in her lawsuit. Now, again, it has to be proved in a court of law.
Sure.
But I will also push back on this. Like, Shildt, you don't have any say here, I don't think. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like, what are those like faux accounts? It's like if you're like fake AJ Preller, you're like, we're going to make a series of moves, but wait, you're not AJ Preller.
Like, I don't think you have the authority to hire or fire anybody, Like, oh, you give great, you give confidence in AJ and Mike. That's awesome. But do you have any say? I don't know.
Well, no, I think the answer right now is no,
Yeah.
to your point. And the responses are ridiculous. Like the first reply I saw, thank you for creating a lawsuit a week before the decision, exclamation point. And then look at the emojis. I won't even.
Oh, jeez.
So again, I get it. People are upset. The truth is, as critical as we've been here, and I think it's warranted to some extent, the truth is maybe even if we don't know what would happen, even if everything had lined up perfectly, even if Peter was still running the organization, maybe he still chooses LA. Ultimately it was his decision, not the organization's decision. Roki made the choice. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they ever had a shot, regardless of circumstance.
But it is going to be very interesting to hear when Roki does speak. And it will be through a translator, so it might be difficult to get everything relayed. What he says the main reason was. And I think a lot of people that aren't Dodger fans will roll their eyes and go, yeah, okay, whatever.
I mean, if he references the lawsuit, right, or their lack of spending, or
if that's reported on,
yeah,
right,
that's a problem.
Oh,
I don't think he will, but you're right. He'll be. You know what that press conference is going to look like at Dodger Stadium? There'll be 1,000 media members. It'll be outside.
Yeah,
everyone in the world will be asking questions.
You're not hiding, bro. You just entered the lion's den as far as media coverage goes. If you were affected by the Japanese media coverage last year when you kind of, didn't pitch a lot and it was because you were going to make your way to the States, you have just entered the lion's den because Ohtani and Yamamoto already garnered 20 to 30 extra Japanese media members. And now you're going to have additional media members there covering you. I mean, it is going to be an absolute circus to cover this Dodgers team for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a circus around a team that's going to win.
Right, you'll be going to World Series every year almost, but
All right, let's go to the phones here. David, let's start with Vito. I think Vito called in first. Vito on line 2. Thanks for your patience, and you're on with Jon and Jim.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
So going back to what you read from Jim Bowden, I saw somebody posted, it might have been Divine Sports Gospel. They posted a tweet from Dallas Keuchel, and I don't know if you guys talked about this, in the middle of, I think it was last year, where he talked about he played with Roki, and he heard rumblings while he was playing with Roki that a deal was already in place, like a handshake deal with the Dodgers. And I thought that was really, really interesting. But, of course, I'm bitter about this news. Longtime Padres fan. But I'm getting to the point with baseball that I might actually not even watch anymore, because I feel like this is so bad for the sport to have one or two teams just accumulating every single player, deferring tons of money, and just having no parity in the sport at all. And then they wonder why the sport is dying. Anyway, that's all I got, guys.
Thanks, Vito. Appreciate your support. I wouldn't say as a result of this, stop watching baseball. I've watched baseball long enough to know you can win 120 games and lose in October. I saw it it's happened time and time and time again.
I think the one argument baseball has is kind of, I don't know how many boxing fans there are, but the Floyd Mayweather argument. So everyone bought his pay-per-views because you either love Floyd Mayweather, you hated him, and wanted to see him get knocked out. So that's kind of the Dodgers, is that every team, if your team is out, is going to want the Dodgers to lose. Yeah. So when they finally do in the playoffs one year, it does create the narrative of it probably makes it boring for the NL West during the season because people just don't think there's a real chance that the Dodgers get dethroned. But, there is the argument that it could create the kind of big bad that everyone's rooting against waiting to fall.
I can already hear it now. I can hear Colin saying how great this is for baseball. I can read the articles by Ken Rosenthal and Jeff Passan, how this is great for baseball. I get what you're saying, Sammy, and I am on board with that. Like, nobody loves a villain in sports more than the fans of not that team. Everyone loves a villain.
Right.
But when the villain is like Thanos with all the Infinity Stones and you don't win, that's a problem. Like, you're not beating that. And because you're not beating that, fans of other teams are just going to give up.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I'm thinking about like a rivalry in sport that is so one-sided that essentially
Warriors Cavs, is that what it made when LeBron came back 3-1, that it was so special because that team was so good, that Warrior team?
Yeah, but LeBron is also considered either the best or second best player in the sport.
Right.
You have all the best players in the sport on the Dodgers. You don't have Ohtani on like the Padres, and you got to go beat the Dodgers. Like the Cavs coming back from 3-1 in that series against the Warriors team. You had Hall of Famers on both teams, like Kyrie, LeBron, Kevin Love, and then Steph, Clay, Draymond. Like, it was a pretty equal rosters when you look at.
But it was one of those weird times where people you're either a LeBron fan or you're not. But because the Warriors were so dominant for so long, and the thing of Kevin Durant joining the Warriors, even though he lost to him, kind of like Sasaki and Yamamoto, these guys joining the Dodgers after I guess Yamamoto, they hadn't won a World Series yet, but
right. It wasn't fair when the Warriors had KD. I agree with that. But that went on for 3 years. This is going to go on for potentially like a decade.
Yeah, but
and maybe more.
We're kind of talking about two different things.
Yeah.
I also agree. The Dodgers won't win every World Series, but just because the Dodgers don't win a World Series doesn't mean the Padres do. Like, the Dodgers doing this hasn't really. Yeah, of course. The Dodgers aren't going to win the next 10 World Series, but even if they win 1 or 2 or 3, I don't know if that means the other 6, 7, or 8, the Padres are more likely to win. It just feels like there's this widening gap in the sport. The one thing I appreciate about baseball is over the course of a 3, 5, or 7 game series, the quote unquote worst team absolutely can win. It doesn't happen in basketball. There's no such thing. The 8 seed doesn't beat the 1 seed. It just doesn't happen. I mean, I guess in a football playoff it happens. It's a best of 1. So that can happen. So, yeah, I think in baseball, like, the lesser of the two rosters is capable of winning. I think most people would have told you the 2022 Padres weren't as good as the 2022 Dodgers. They beat them in 4 games. And I think the Padres last year proved that they were capable of beating the Dodgers in the series. They just didn't. But, yeah, I think that just because they get Sasaki doesn't mean they're going to win every World Series. No. But unfortunately, I don't think that that gives us a lot of hope here in San Diego that, oh, well, they might not win a World Series and we will. I mean, maybe. I just see a widening gap in general.
Do you think they look at Tanner Scott differently? Do you think they fork out the money?
Oh, bro, if they get Tanner Scott.
No, not the Dodgers. I mean, do you think the Padres?
No chance.
No chance. Too much money.
Zero chance. I thought you were talking about the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers still.
I think the
probably
Dodgers could.
Dodgers, they get Tanner Scott. I mean, come on, dude. Which I wouldn't be shocked with either.
No, either would I. Let's go to David real quick. David on line 4. David, thanks for your patience. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I got a bit more to say than the previous caller. I'm going to start out negative here and then make it a little more positive. On the negative side, like, it's easy to say this and this handshake deal. Sasaki was going to the Dodgers all along, but bottom line is, if Peter were alive, we wouldn't be in this situation where we're banking everything on waiting on Sasaki. We would have already done things. So I'm more mad at the ownership currently, the Seidler brothers, than I am at Sasaki or the Dodgers. Like, the current ownership of the Padres needs to get their act together, as I said when I called in last week. Now, on the positive side, like you alluded to, John, this doesn't guarantee anything because, you know, over 162, yeah, it's going to be really difficult to beat out the Dodgers. But does that really matter? We didn't have Tatis 3 years ago now, and we beat them in the division series when they won 111 games. The Dodgers lost in the division series with 106 wins to Washington when Washington went on to win the World Series. They won 106 another year. They lost to Atlanta, who only won 89. So, like, the regular season, yeah, I mean, you're not going to win the division, but I never expect to win the division. I just think, can we go 3-2 or 4-3 against them in October? And if the Seidler brothers can prove us wrong and get their act together and shape up the rest of this roster around the good core that we do have, then I think that, yeah, you can get into the playoffs and, you know, anything can happen in a 5 or 7 game sample size. Only having to go 4-3 or 3-2 against them in a series, that's very doable no matter how good they are. I mean, another example, the 2011 Philadelphia was supposed to have like the greatest rotation ever, and they lost in the division series to St. Louis, who got in on the last day of the season. So
yeah,
you never know, but ownership got to get their act together. That our ownership. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree with that. The ownership right now, whoever's in charge, the perception is it doesn't look good. It's not a good look. And when you're like that close and you're the actual favorites, according to Vegas for the World Series,
right, when they led the series 2-1,
you're sitting there, I would think, in the front office and be like, all right, what's the move we're going to make to get over the top? Like, what's that move? If it was Roki, that is a dangerous game to play. If they went in the offseason saying that their one big move to get over that hump was going to be Roki, it's tough. But, you know, you look at the Diamondbacks, they signed Corbin Burns. Like, they don't have a TV deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, they're making that move and they have a really good rotation. And they won 89 games last year and they added. Padres won 93 games this year and have been dead silent.
Dead silent. I mean, it can change and it has to change, but will it be near enough to compete in 2025? We'll get back to your phone calls, 877-767-4760. We're reacting to Roki choosing the Dodgers over the Padres and the Blue Jays here until 6 p.m. on Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports.
Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword at the top of every hour, then enter it at sportssd.com. Jon and Jim with you until 6 p.m. Ken, reacting to the news that Roki has chosen the Dodgers over the Padres and the Blue Jays. I don't know if there's a bigger loser in there, like if it's the Padres over the Blue Jays or the Blue Jays over the Padres. I just think if you don't,
this show's the biggest loser
because we've spent so much time on it. I just think if you don't end up with him, you look bad. I get it. It's like, well, there were only 3 teams standing. Isn't that really cool? Other teams weren't even being considered. But like at the end of the day, what does that mean? That you finished second. What does that mean? What does that get you?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you finished. I don't know if they finished second for Ohtani, but you were in the mix, right?
Probably top 3 for both.
Who else? Give me Seiya
Suzuki.
Okay. I don't know how close they were to that deal. Shota Imanaga, Kikuchi.
Yeah. Even in free agency, Trey Turner, Aaron Judge.
Well,
close.
Yeah.
That's different.
Different. Yeah. I think from a personal standpoint, Jon, great for me because now this weekend I don't have to worry about this stupid thing anymore.
True.
I was fully prepared
for a Saturday
for tomorrow morning between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. this to drop and all hell break loose, and then me not be able to focus on anything but freaking Roki Sasaki to the Dodgers.
Are you changing your tune because I see your quote tweeting Jim Bowden, who says that
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting.
Several front offices believe there was a pre-cut deal between the Dodgers and Sasaki. Jim Bowden, former Major League Baseball general manager.
I think it's interesting because we know Jim is tied in, and he has front offices telling him this, or he's not going to be saying this. I still would lean towards that. Yes, the Dodgers were Roki's first choice, but he wanted to make sure he did his due diligence and saw every team and gave every team a fair shot before, circling back to the Dodgers, which was what happened. He had the Dodgers as his last visit to firmly cement that his, mindset from the beginning as they're the favorite was the right decision.
This system is ripe for this possibility of other teams crying wolf or saying it's a corrupt system. In the NBA, you don't say, hey, Luka, pick your team. There's a process that plays out internationally. You end up getting drafted. For whatever reason with Major League Baseball, it used to be just the biggest check. The Padres with their class, maybe 2016 with Adrian Morejon, whatever year it was. You could write the biggest check. Then Major League Baseball got rid of that. They said everyone's on the same system. You can only use $6, $8, $10 million per team. That'll get rid of any type of corruption, any type of collusion. But it doesn't, because essentially what baseball is saying, he's not Yamamoto. He's not a free agent. He's a youngster. He's a prospect. Okay? So if he's a prospect, why are the players that are outside of the States not a part of a draft like they are in every other professional sport in the world? I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
Support the teams that want to win, winning to a greater degree. They're asking for these problems. This system is created to be problematic. Tell me I'm wrong. It's a bad system. And I'm not just saying that losing out. It sounds like I am. And I'd be all for it if the Padres landed them. But tell me I'm wrong when in other sports, international players are put into a draft, and then in baseball, you know what? You're international, and you would otherwise be in a draft if you were born in America, but pick your team. Explain.
You're right. I agree with that. That is a part of your sport, baseball, that once again, you've dropped the ball. No pun intended.
They've tried to clean this up, and they can't get rid of it.
They've even tried because they put a cap on the number.
It still hasn't.
And in the NBA, to your point, Jon, like if you draft a guy, you've seen this with high upside guys. They do it in the late end of the first round, maybe second.
They just stash them away.
Right. They stash them away, but there's a shot they could go, yeah, I'm just playing in Europe. So you kind of just got screwed out of a pick. Yeah. So there's kind of a risk there. There's no real risk in baseball. You just, you sign the guy.
Look, I hate the Dodgers more than any team in sports. I that's a big reason why. Like today sucks, But again, what sucks the most is nothing can be done to fix it at this moment in time. You know, you are just
right.
You are. I mean, little brother, bro. Like nothing we can do.
Right.
Nothing the Padres can do. The Blue Jays, whatever other team out there wants to try to either spend big money or recruit players or sign players internationally that are highly sought after. You are going up against juggernauts, and 99.9% of the time you are going to lose. When you try to get Juan Soto, you better bring $1 billion to the table or you're not getting him.
Mm-hmm.
When you're trying to land international superstars like Roki Sasaki, you better be in a market with a $300 million TV deal and you're spending money every single offseason, or you're probably not going to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Ohtani. Ohtani was always going to go to the Dodgers. Sasaki feels like, always was going to go to the Dodgers. Yamamoto, always going to the Dodgers. They have the World Baseball Classic winning team from Japan on their roster.
Yeah, it's a good point. No, you make here two things here. The paper transactions that we obsess over in sports aren't necessarily what happens on field. So you have to remember that. I mean, you can end up with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as they did a year ago. There were highs and lows. There were moments in there where he didn't pitch well early in the year. He was then hurt, and then he was absolutely impactful for them on the way to the World Series. I'm just saying we don't know what this Roki signing means in the short term. We said that with the Padres. We don't know what it means. And just because you have Roki, I go back to a year ago. The Dodgers spending prowess has nothing to do with the Padres not showing up in games 4 and 5.
None.
That was on the Padres, and that was not on ownership or the Seidler brothers or Shildt Seidler or AJ Preller that's on that team and that coaching staff to some extent. It's on the team. When they needed to perform, they weren't beaten by a payroll. They didn't get steamrolled by a payroll, by development, by analytics. That is not the reason they lost to the Dodgers. They got small in the biggest moments. That's what happened. That's what happened. We watched it. They could not have been any tighter in game 5 than they were. And that's a shame.
And they panicked and threw Cease out there on short rest. Would they have done that with another team? If they were playing someone else? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it was there for the taking is my point. Despite their spending prowess, despite $325 million for Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah.
Like it was there for the taking and they didn't take it. That's on them.
I'm going to end your poll. Pause.
Oh, yeah. Where do you think?
It says, do you think the Padres are out on Sasaki?
It was from earlier.
I know it was, but
I'll put up a new poll.
Okay.
At the break. Hour 4 of Jon and Jim. If you want to react.
I don't.
Are we crying over spilled milk? Probably. 877-767-4760. If you want to vent.
It's good milk, though.
React. You have 2 cents. 70470. Start it with team or 877-767-4760. It's Jon and Jim.
San Diego sports traffic.
This
This update's brought to you by unbound.org. It's official. Roki Sasaki is a Dodger. He announced earlier this afternoon on his Instagram page. San Diego State takes on UNLV tomorrow night, 5 p.m. tip-off, 4 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. An NFL division round playoff matchups this weekend. A game you can listen to right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rams and Eagles Sunday afternoon. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
I want to see this franchise break through. You spent all your dollars and all your time and all your resources on this team. Just because they got to face the Dodgers, that doesn't make it some incredible season.
Yeah, the loser mentality is, well, at least we got
went 5 games.
You mad, bro?
At least we went 5 games. At least we were finalists for Roki. At least we got to talk to Aaron Judge. That would have never happened before.
That is such a loser mentality. I can't express it to you even more.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We continue to react to Roki Sasaki choosing the Dodgers over the Padres and the Blue Jays after this weeks-long pursuit. Once he was posted, it was really a months-long, if not years-long pursuit by clubs like the Padres, Dodgers, and others. And at the end of the day, Lucy pulled the football away again. Dodgers over Padres. Sasaki going to a team that's just won the World Series has added Blake Snell, retained Teoscar Hernandez, and that's where 2025 is going to start. Yeah. There's no move here in the deck. No. Where the Padres are equaling what is going on here. The Snell, Sasaki, give me a break. That doesn't mean the Padres can't improve their roster. They basically have to, considering Profar walked out the door, their catching situation, Ha-Seong Kim. They got to improve this roster, man. They're not getting Sasaki. They have to improve this roster. That's all I know, and that's A.J. Preller and Seidler brothers' job from here on out.
Like, the only way this offseason, the rest of it could go where I would be like, yeah, bring them on.
Yeah, what was your series of events?
No, these are okay. This is like hypothetical.
Yeah.
What I would be like, yeah, all right, I like that.
I want to hear it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Resign Profar.
Definitely possible, right?
Yeah, definitely possible. Extend Michael King.
Possible.
Now the kind of maybe impossible. Resign Tanner Scott.
Wow.
Sign Anthony Santander. Make a trade for another pitcher. And probably make a trade for a catcher.
Well, you're not getting Santander and Profar.
One can be a DH.
Oh, they
I'm good
can,
with that.
But I get what you're saying. You're saying this isn't happening.
Or Profar plays first. Arise is your DH. Santander is your outfield. But this is not happening.
That's why it's not
I'm just saying, like, those are the moves that are out there. If the Padres made, I'd be like, let's go.
Yeah, I agree with that. If there was like a series, I don't even need like the 4th, 5th, 6th move. I think if you make 3.5, Profar, King, Scott would be incredible.
Scott and Santander, those are the two ones that are honestly, like impossible.
If you gave me Scott because Suarez moves,
sure.
Suarez moves, that frees up 10, you take on 18.
But I'm thinking, my mind is not about like crunching numbers.
Right. It's just what you want.
I'm looking at what gives the Padres the best chance to compete with the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, I buy that.
So it's like, I go back to the documentary that I watched, what was it, a couple months ago, the Yankees, Red Sox ones, where they came back from the 3-0 to beat the Yankees, right? And a lot of that documentary was Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer. All they talked about was like in the offseason of 2020 or 2002, I think it was 2003.
Well, it was,
I think 03, the offseason.
Because going into 04,
was what can we do to beat the Yankees at any cost? Like they were on the verge of trading for A-Rod. They had Manny Ramirez in the trade. They were doing everything they possibly could.
Yeah, that ain't this.
I know it's not. I'm just saying I wish it was.
Right.
Because if it's not going to be that way, you virtually don't stand any chance. And you're going to have to basically get lucky. You're relying on luck.
I don't know if that's the case, Jim. In 2022, they were left
close.
For dead. Everyone told me all year long they can't beat the Dodgers. They can't win a regular. If they didn't beat them in the regular season, why are they going to beat them in the postseason? They beat them handedly. They won 3-1. They dominated the series. They won 3 consecutive games. It was an impressive feat. It happens in baseball. The caller talked about the Braves with 89 wins over 106 wins with the Dodgers. Other team, we've seen it play out. It's not, maybe it is fortune or luck, but there's oftentimes 100-win teams lose to 90-win teams.
No,
It's happened throughout the course of baseball history, and it's only more prone to happen moving forward because they've expanded the wild card. They let all these teams in. They're presenting the opportunities, and teams have already taken it. The Phillies were the 6th seed World Series. The Diamondbacks were the 6th seed World Series. This has played out in the last 3 years.
I just wish there was some fight back this offseason.
Just wait.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Like you're not going to match what the Dodgers have done by signing Snell and bringing in Sasaki and re-signing Teoscar Hernandez. Like you're not. But I just wish there was like some fight. And maybe it's coming. I don't know. But so far, you just have gotten bullied and you are the little brother until otherwise.
Yeah, but what about, Joan De La Cruz, who they're signing internationally.
Stop it.
He's the number 43 international prospect. He's 5'11", and he's a shortstop from the Dominican. Then there's Carlos Alvarez, your guy. He's the number 70 prospect. He's 17 years old. So maybe we'll see him in 7 years. Let's go to Greg, who's been very patient on line 1. If you want to chime in.
Give me a break.
I mean, listen, maybe the answer to Sasaki is Joan De La Cruz and Carlos Alvarez.
Yeah, I'm sure it is too in 30 years.
Except when we're all gone.
Yeah.
877-767-4760. Greg, thanks for calling in. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, guys, I appreciate taking the call.
Yeah.
Hey, full disclosure, a Dodger fan.
All good.
I agree with what you were saying before I mean, you can have all these guys on paper, and that's great. I mean, the Padres, just the other year, just 2 years ago, had, kind of like won the offseason on paper, but then it didn't materialize during the season, right? So I think the other thing that needs to be, discussed or brought up is, like you had said, biggest moment, you look to your superstars, you look to the leaders of the team, and folded in games 4 and 5 in the divisional round. I think part of the problem is with the Padres, 2 guys have really, really big contracts, really, really long years associated with those contracts. It's kind of like the Dak Prescott situation in Dallas. You're stuck with him because of that contract, and that's why that job isn't so glamorous to be the head coach there. Same thing with the Padres. You look at some of the guys that are supposed to be your leaders, guys you count on, guys you rely on, and you've got, I don't want to say stuck, but you've got these gigantic contracts for still with 10 years to go on them. And that really does hamstring the Padres in some of these situations. Not the ownership issue, not all the other stuff, that, off the field stuff, but some of these contracts that you cannot get out from underneath. And then what you're paying for, you're not getting the results on the field.
Thank you, Greg. Good call.
Yeah, you are paying for a guy that should be an all-star every year at, I guess, second base now in Xander Bogaerts.
And you're not getting
close to that. Truthfully, you're paying Tatis money to be a 40 home run guy, and he can't stay healthy. Manny, you're paying, and for the last half of the season, he absolutely lived up to that contract.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yep.
You're paying $20 million to a guy who has to have Tommy John, or he had Tommy John surgery, in Joe Musgrove. Yep. You're paying $11 million a year to Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah, a little more. Yep.
Can't hit lefties. Really the best bang for your buck on this team is Jackson Merrill.
Oh, absolutely.
Like not even close.
Absolutely. Well, then somebody again,
and Michael King, but he's not on a long-term contract.
And everyone tells me, we'll worry about Merrill later. No, give me the shot. Give me something. Give me the King extension. I'm with you. King's more relevant because he's a free agent in a year. Nobody wants to see Jackson. Nobody wants the Jackson Merrill conversation for years 4, 5, and 6 of his time here. So we need that shot in the arm. And by the way, when Roki came here, like you do wonder about like how that whole situation, like how was dinner at Manny's house? Did that actually happen?
I don't know, but just like a hypothetical,
right?
Like how was that dinner?
Yeah.
Did the player step up and really try to push this thing across? Now I see here from John Palmarosi, where we're going to play coming up next segment, talking about how like the thing that sealed the deal, even though this thing felt like it was done in the first place, was his relationship
Yamamoto.
with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And that is where I go with Dodgers were playing checkers while everybody was playing chess, because signing Yamamoto, maybe in that front office, is like, we sign Yamamoto, we also are going to land Sasaki. And so maybe giving the guy 320 isn't considered an overpay, because if we get him for 320, we also know we're going to get Sasaki as well.
Points that you get both players for 320. Because the one guy's free, essentially.
Yeah.
The other guy's 325. That's two.
Yeah.
For 325. It's a really interesting point. But again, it's like Yu Darvish is this unbelievable figure in the history of Japanese baseball, the winningest player ever from Japan in the majors. And Yamamoto comes over again, maybe more of the generation, obviously.
There's also an age gap there.
There's
38 years
I know.
old and 23.
You're right. You're right. But again,
so I would say if Yamamoto was on Toronto, he's probably in Toronto. If Yamamoto's in San Diego,
he's in San Diego.
He's in San Diego. He's with LA. Now you think about it more, you're like, wow, that feels like a chess move when everyone else is like playing checkers.
So let me get this straight. And I said this earlier. Yamamoto shoves in game 5. Absolutely shoves, correct? Against the Padres. Did they do anything? Did they have a hit off him? I don't recall it.
Yamamoto
He shoves in game 5.
Yeah.
At game 1, too, right?
Game 1, no.
No,
wait.
no, that was the back and forth game. You're right.
Yeah.
That was the back and forth game.
The Padres jumped out to an early lead, and then for some
they pitched to
odd
Ohtani.
reason, they pitched to Ohtani.
I think Yamamoto gave up 2 hits in game 5 to one to Peralta, and I forgot who else.
Okay,
yeah,
so
good job, Shildt.
He shoves in game 5, and then he's the lead recruiter to land Roki Sasaki in the offseason. Yeah. All right, we'll hear from John Morosi. John Morosi?
John Morosi or
Are
John
there
Paul?
2 of them?
No, there's one of them.
Okay. I'm just thinking, because Steve Hartman used to always call him like JP, but then it got me confused.
No.
JP, John. Anyway, we'll hear from John Morosi coming up. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines are open. 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. We're just digesting the news of Roki to the Dodgers. What do you got?
Oh, I thought you were going to go to break, but then I looked up and I go, oh, we're a little early, so I'm not going to leave the studio to go record sound.
Oh, you can go leave the studio. We're not early. It doesn't matter.
Who
Much
cares?
more after this. is happening Thursday, January 30th. So in less than 2 weeks, raising money for rebuilding communities devastated by the wildfires and supporting efforts to prevent future fire disasters throughout Southern California. For donations and concert information, visit fireaidla.org. Fireaidla.org. Jon and Jim back with you. We have the latest. I forgot what you told me about Jon Morosi. I was so worried about his name. Like, is it John? Is it JP? John Paul? Whatever. What is he commenting on here?
He is talking about Yamamoto basically being the closer. I thought it was going to be like the pitching development and whatnot, but maybe it was simple as like they're good friends,
right?
And when your best buddies like let's play together, why not, right? So this is Jon Morosi just moments ago on MLB Network.
Well, Matt and Carlos, good evening. We are just getting started talking about the career of Roki Sasaki because this is a landmark day among many landmark days for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, I was told in the last 24 hours that a really key conversation in the midst of the courtship of Sasaki came between Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. And we rightly focus on Shohei and the Dodgers, and we should. But let's not forget that Yamamoto broke the contract record for the largest contract by a pitcher only. And then he went on to help the Dodgers win the World Series in his rookie year. So what I was told, Matt, is that the ability for Yamamoto to articulate the way in which the Dodgers helped him feel so comfortable in year one was instrumental in Sasaki choosing the Dodgers. Because remember, Sasaki is coming off a year in which he threw only air quotes, 111 innings. So he's going to have to find a way to adjust to the major league schedule. And the Dodgers, by using a six-man rotation often, have already proven to Yamamoto and now Sasaki that they can help you adjust to the major leagues. And Matt, that successful adjustment, which by the way, begins with a regular season series in Japan against the Cubs, this is part of what I'm told Sasaki's ambition is to be the greatest ever pitcher from Japan to come to Major League Baseball. And you don't get there in the end without a successful transition. And Sasaki believed that he could best have that transition year in a Dodger uniform. You see what he was able to do coming over early. And I mentioned this detail, and we all know, those of us who have covered this story closely, we're still working on the exact particulars of what the final number is on the signing bonus, but it's going to be less than $10 million in that range because of the rules of MLB when you're not yet 25 years of age. He came over early, Matt, because he wants to be the greatest ever. He wants to begin accruing his time and his service and the ability to advance to higher contracts through arbitration and then get to free agency. He wants to start that clock early because he wants to one day do what Ichiro Suzuki is expected to do next week, which is get inducted and elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
That all makes complete sense. And it goes back to the theory of the Dodgers thinking two steps ahead with making sure if they got Yamamoto, even if they had to overpay for him, their chance of landing Sasaki was pretty much
higher.
A lock.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense. I would say, are we putting the cart before the horse a little bit? Not just Jon Morosi. A lot of people are saying this. Greatest ever. Like
a little
dude,
bit, yeah.
Like, dude,
I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah.
Now I hate him. But
right. You think his stuff. I'm not speaking to his stuff. I think his abilities are off the charts. He's won 29 games in Japan. Like before we put him in Cooperstown in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, before we make him the winningest pitcher in Japanese history to come over, like there's some work here. Now he's 23, so it could take a couple years. He could still blossom into this unbelievable prospect. But like, I don't know. It just feels to me really interesting. There's all this conversation. He wants to go down as the best pitcher ever. I'm like, dude, you're like, you haven't even like started this process yet.
No, I know. I get it. But like, I tend to take Kyle Glazer's word for things. And when he says like, yo, this guy's it. I will believe Kyle.
I mean, no, I'm not. This guy's it is still a long way off from Cooperstown.
I know. I understand that. I get it. But like going back to the whole Yamamoto thing, it makes a lot of sense when you look at wherever you're going to go, you want to make sure that team is prepared for you and not learning as they go about how to manage you. There's nobody on the Padres that the Padres have done this with. Darvish is just a mentor figure. Darvish is long gone from the days of managing his innings and, every 6th day, right? Yamamoto, it just happened where the Dodgers have done this for a year with Yamamoto. They've shown the blueprint to Sasaki and said, you're going to be on this plan. We've already done it. Look what he did, and look how great he was at the end of the season in the postseason for us, winning a World Series.
I get it. I get it. And you're not going to top winning the World Series. I think other organizations could have presented a similar blueprint. We'll pitch you every 6th day. We'll make sure you always have 5 off days. We'll use our pitching development program. We have advanced analytics.
But it's much easier when you see it, Sasaki could see it firsthand with Yamamoto. You have to just kind of take their word from the Padres and the Blue Jays. But the Blue Jays have Kikuchi, right? Did he come over or did he sign with them? I think he signed with them.
I don't know the answer.
I also think the ratings in Japan were higher than the ratings in America for the World Series. So there's something to be said. That's why I was surprised the Yankees weren't more of a threat in this thing. That just you're seeing these teams and their household brands over there with Ohtani and Yamamoto. That's got to have something to do with him leaning towards the Dodgers.
Dude, I mean, it was already obviously I've read the articles about turning Japan blue. I mean, give me a break. I mean, this is the Dodgers will own Japan for the next 2 generations.
Yeah, the kids in Japan now are going to grow up Dodger fans, and that's going to be passed over to their kids and their kids. And every single Japanese superstar that will come up in Japan will want to be on the Dodgers.
Exactly.
Because they'll watch the Dodgers and Ohtani and Sasaki and Yamamoto all the time.
Yeah, I think 25 years ago, it more was the Yankees initially, and now it has clearly become the LA Dodgers. Let's go to Hector on line 5, who wants to weigh in here on Jon and Jim. Hector, thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. I couldn't stand anymore the sky is falling thing from all these Padres fans. What better sensation was there when the Padres beat the Dodgers a couple of years ago? This whole city, even TJ was going off because everybody was so happy. I think the best thing for baseball, and I'll see what the ratings are in the next couple of years, is to bring down the empires, kind of like when the Yankees were dominating for a while and Kansas City and the NFL is dominating now. Am I wrong here to think, I know it's a transparent kind of thing that one team is dominating in terms of budget, but isn't that the best feeling for an underdog to beat them in the playoffs? I could be wrong. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I get it. You're right. The team that beats the Chiefs, that's a historically good team. The team that beats the Warriors, those are historically good. Those are dynasty teams. I don't think the Dodgers are yet there. They won 1, but they've clearly spent like they plan to be. They are an evil empire. It was the Yankees. You could say it's shifted here to LA.
Yeah, and the Dodgers will not win the next 10 World Series. No, I'm pretty confident in that. Right. But will they win 3 or 4 of 10? Potentially.
Right.
And that's a lot.
It is.
With already having one under their belt now. Their first real one since 1988.
Right.
So, yeah, this could turn into a dynasty very easily. And whoever beats the Dodgers, that will be a huge celebrated upset. But it's more or less when off seasons come around, how can the rest of baseball compete with what the Dodgers are doing? Next off season, John, do you think the Padres, not the Padres, but the Dodgers are just going to sit around? Who's the next guy that's coming on the list?
There's another.
Vladdy Jr.
And also other Japanese stars.
That too.
Right? They're developing pitchers just like they're being developed here in America.
Yep.
And in Latin America. So, this is going to continue to play out. I don't know what the answer is for baseball trying to compete right now with LA. And to your point, I'm not saying LA is winning
10 World
4
Series
straight or 3 straight. It's hard. In baseball, it's hard.
But you if you're the Dodgers now, that pressure has ratcheted up to, it already was at 100, but it's triple that, because you're going out and you're just picking any player that you want and you're getting whatever you want. And when you have reigning Cy Young sign with you and superstar prospects, choose you, and players that are free agents, you're expected to win the World Series every single year now.
Like, predict the year the Dodgers don't make the postseason next.
That's a great question.
I mean, you're might be pushing like the 2040s.
They'll open as the World Series favorite for the next.
Absolutely.
I guess Freddie Freeman's 36, Mookie Betts is 32.
No, they're
so
the World Series favorite
every year for a long time.
Without Roki,
Every year.
would be too.
Every year.
All right, everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
All right, more of your calls and reaction. You can text us 70470. Start it with team. We're here until 6 p.m. We'll have a wrap-up show tonight as well, coming up at 9:30. But stay with us on Jon and Jim.
Sports now.
All right, this update is brought to you by Unbound.org. To a surprise of nobody, Roki Sasaki is a Dodger. He's getting $6.5 million of international pool money. He'll be with the Dodgers for the next 6 seasons minimum. Moving over to basketball tomorrow night. San Diego State takes on UNLV. It's Brian Dutcher bobblehead night, 5 p.m. tip-off. 4 p.m. is pregame. Get there early. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. An NFL division round matchup this weekend between the Rams and the Eagles can be heard right here Sunday afternoon. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice, continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Not a great start to 2025 for Padres fans.
Not great, John.
From the lawsuit to Roki choosing LA over San Diego to the way 2024 finished. Now, the offseason is not over. There will be some type of pivot from the organization,
Hopefully.
from Roki to their next decisions. As like I said last offseason, they'll have a left fielder. They'll have a catcher. I guess they have their catcher in Martin Maldonado, and we'll see what happens next for San Diego. I mean, the truth is pitchers and catchers are reporting in weeks, 3 weeks. I think the day after the Super Bowl or 2 days after the Super Bowl. So it's all coming up quickly, and we'll see what they do. I'm still very, I don't know, I have trepidation with their payroll. I don't know if they're going to do it via spending. I'd be surprised. I think it could be like a Profar. I would consider the possibility of some type of trade to enhance the roster. They did a lot last year with Cease and Arise. So I'm not saying all is lost. I really don't feel like all is lost. It's a punch in the gut. Make no mistake. It's disappointing. It really is. I don't think all is lost. You're just going up against something that got tougher in the LA Dodgers, but this is what AJ Preller's paid to do. He's going to have to figure out a way to put this team back in contention to get to the postseason next year with Roki or not. He won't have Roki.
I'm just so sick and tired of like sitting here and being like, well, they got to fit this in there.
Yeah.
Fans shouldn't care about that.
Right.
Fans shouldn't be sitting here figuring out how to fit a contract or whatever into a CBT number.
Right.
Like, that's just so stupid. Because it should be about going out and getting the best players to help you win. I don't care about the money. It's not my money. It's not your money.
Yeah, but that argument, I know you love that argument, and I do too, until it actually is your money. Because guess what? They can't spend it. They have the same amount of money as you do.
Well,
None.
Okay, then I'm not going to the games.
But you are. That's the funny part. Right? You know what I mean? There's 3.2 million people there.
I know, but eventually it's not going to always be like that.
Yeah, you're right. No, there'll be a breaking point.
So, like, I don't have to spend, and fans out there listening don't have to spend a single dollar on this.
Yeah,
team.
but I don't like that argument.
No,
What does that do?
No, I don't either. But I'm just pushing back on your it is my money.
I do think real quick that the Cowboys, this is a problem with Dallas, is you see that Dallas every year puts a mediocre team out on the field and they still sell out. They're still the biggest brand in sports. I don't like that the Padres, a week or two before are announcing that they sold out all their season tickets. I don't think that's a great look when the ownership's suing each other and then this happens. Not that the fans didn't want to go to the game, but I understand fans being like, "Hey, I want my money back. You haven't done anything in the offseason. Why should I be forking out a bunch of money to go to these games?"
No, Jim is right. Like, you shouldn't concern yourself with the finances of your baseball team, but baseball isn't the NFL. All that matters is money. In the NFL, they all have the same amount. In the NBA, they don't, but they do. You get the point.
And no team loves a good fan PR play than the Padres.
Fan PR play. Example being
sold out.
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
game, 3 million fans.
Yeah, number one
ballpark in America.
Right.
Just redid Gallagher Square.
Right. No, I agree. It's just like, I think the only way to like have a real conversation about your baseball team is you can't live in a fantasy world. You can't, like you said, oh, it's not my money. Well, yeah, but we haven't spent all offseason talking about Anthony Santander because we're not morons. They're not going to sign him.
Right.
We haven't spent our offseason talking about Corbin Burns. You want to know why? They don't have $200 million for a free agent contract.
But, that's the part about baseball that I hate is that you can say that in the NBA or the NFL because there's a salary cap.
Right. People talk about cap space.
You know how many times like a really good NFL All-Pro player goes somewhere else because that, like, the Dolphins spend a bunch of money, or the Dolphins make a trade for Tyreek Hill and give him the largest contract in history for a wide receiver.
Right.
That's not happening in baseball where it's like the Marlins just, traded for Corbin Burns and they signed him to a max contract or whatever.
You are right. It's a problem. It's not a problem if you're one of the few teams that has it all, like the Padres earlier this decade with Peter Seidler.
And that's why Peter was so beloved and revered, is because what he did is he said, I'm going to buck that trend.
Be careful.
I know. I said I emphasize the B. And we're going to do anything necessary, money be damned, to put a winning product on the field and win a World Series. Man. And that's what everyone loved about Peter.
I love it too. Listen, everyone loves spending money on a credit card, but then like you got to pay the bill at some point. And like they were free spending, dude. It was awesome. They were top 3 payroll in the sport. There might have been a year in there their payroll was higher than the Dodgers. I forget, but it was right there. And now you come back to earth. You got to like pay for your TV that you put on layaway. That was $2,000. I mean, I guess at some point maybe it impacts LA because they defer. I don't think it will. And I'm not worried about 12 years from now and what impact it's going to have on the LA Dodgers. The issue for the Padres is they have to deal with the parameters. We can't live in this fake world. Like now that they didn't get Roki, maybe they'll go out and get this free agent starting pitcher for $34 million a year.
Oh, re-sign Tanner Scott.
Man, we don't even know if they can afford Michael King. They're arguing over $1.5 million.
I know.
For their best pitcher.
Where do you think with the Burns signing to Arizona and Adames to San Fran, where do you think they realistically end up in the division?
Oh, San Diego?
San Diego? I think right now, as it's constructed, I think Dodgers 1, D-backs 2, Padres 3, Giants 4, Rockies 5. That's where I am going at right now. My early prediction in the NL West.
I think probably Rockies 1.
Yeah,
I think LA has a chance.
You think they have a chance to win maybe 115 games?
I think San Diego can make the postseason. I really do.
I think they could too. But
there are
division-wise,
7 teams in the postseason. Isn't that right? No, there's 6
6
per league. I mean, if they're not vying for a playoff spot after a 93-win season, that's going to be very disappointing. Do I think they can win the division? No, probably not. But I didn't think they could win the division last year.
Take out the word probably. Just say no.
Well, we'll have like Dan Zimborski on. It'll be like the Dodgers only have a 88% chance of winning the division. That's what it'll tell us, even though it feels like 99.999999999. 9. Okay, we've had was that Matt? Let's get Matt on the line. Again, 877-767-4760.
Sammy.
877. Let's get Matt on the line. 877-767-4760. Matt, you're on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, Matt.
One sec. We'll get Matt. All right, Matt, you're on now.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We got you.
All right. So I wanted to talk from the perspective of a Dodgers fan that I think this was a done deal the whole time. I don't think it was collusion, but if you look at the whole way that this process went with what Joel Wolf was saying, you'll notice that he was saying everything possible to open Roki to any market, whether it be a large, small, or mid-market. And I think also, too, the way that Roki went to Petco Park and did the workout is exactly what you would do if you wanted to cover that you were going to the Dodgers the whole time. And also when Roki got posted right after the World Series.
I mean, I'm on kind of team Matt. Thanks, Matt, for the call.
That's a Dodgers fan right there.
I'm on, like, the Dodger fan is saying, like, I think it was the Dodgers all along. And I do agree. I can't confirm this, but I do agree. When you go to Toronto and you go to San Diego, it gives the appearance that this is a fair, legitimate possibility. But is it in actuality, or do you just want the appearance of it looking fair and legitimate?
It's not a great look when the reports of a handshake deal come out,
and then you end up with that.
And then you end up at the place that the report of the handshake deal comes out. Like, it's not a great look for you, buddy.
Yeah, the perception there is a little off.
A little,
unless you're a Dodger fan in the Dodger organization.
We got Dodger fans calling us, telling us like it's
kind of fixed.
It's fixed.
And again, I don't think anything's going to come of it. This isn't the, hey, Chris Paul, you can't play for the Lakers. I'm not arguing that at all.
No.
That's laughable.
And you know what's going to happen?
We get a $50,000 fine.
Yeah. If they do get found to have tampered or whatever the case may be, they'll lose a draft pick and $100,000 fine, and they move on and they win their second straight World Series.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm not expecting, hey, you got to give back World Series titles and the franchise has to move. That's not my expectation.
You got to give the Padres
Yamamoto, or no, I'm not even asking for that. But I would like someone to get to the bottom of how the recruitment played out. Like, did the recruitment play out within the rules or not? He can't hear you.
I'm talking the talk back.
I know. Someone's calling in. We'll sneak in one more call here, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation until 6 p.m. And then join us tonight. We have the wrap-up show on YouTube.
Yeah, where we can really express our true feelings on that thing.
Well, we've expressed our true feelings. We just can't curse here.
I will curse tonight.
I bet you will.
I'm going to curse.
I
Like
think
a
you almost
sailor.
cursed 2 minutes ago with your whole buck the trend.
No. I
kidding.
made sure I said buck.
I know.
B-U-C-K.
I'm just kidding. All right. Does David want to chime in here? He does? All right. We still have time for you if you want to call in. 877-767-4760. We probably talked to 20 or so people here today.
Yeah, great show. Great interaction. We appreciate everything.
Great.
No,
in quotations.
Yeah, no,
great.
It sucked. Today sucked.
All right, David, thanks for calling in. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, man, listening to you guys all the time. Great show.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Hey, I'm a native San Diegan. I follow Aztecs on Chargers, Padres, blah, 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 for all those years. Anyway, how many times a year would we see Sasaki?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Couple.
Let's say two. I mean, how many times would we see him on the map?
Well, I'm saying, like, if you're LeBron or Steph or somebody, you're going to play every game and just drill a bunch of points. I was thinking Sasaki, it's not like the end of the world.
Because he's a starting pitcher?
Well, that's that.
Yeah.
No, and I get your point, David. Thanks for the call. You're gonna see him a couple, but that's not the point here. It's that you don't have him for a full season and the Dodgers do. It's not about like matchups against you. And by the way, if you face the Dodgers in the postseason, then you'll absolutely see Sasaki in the future. And like that's where the biggest problem is. Not about the regular season. It's like you get to the postseason, you're facing a rotation of Snell, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Sasaki. Good luck.
Right. It's a weird sport, but the truth is most would argue the starting pitcher matters more than the everyday regulars. Because if you're facing elite pitching each and every day, I don't care how good your lineup is. That becomes a huge problem. All right. Here until 6 p.m. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Think It Up.
West
Time. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760.
No one shows me more irrelevant things that I don't care about.
Says Mr. I'm
you.
watching SmackDown like season 11 on pay-per-view.
You know,
7.
Fletch told me that, and I could not believe that you were a WWE fan.
They're actually
all
in.
he does.
They're in San Diego right now at the Sports Arena.
Great, and I'm sure
Rey
there's
Mysterio's
a big.
Are you
there.
running from the show to the
No,
sports
you
arena?
get over
no,
there,
not.
dude.
It already started. Yeah, I like wrestling.
You are obsessed with.
I am not
wrestling.
obsessed with it, but
Oh,
I
you're
do keep
obsessed.
up with it. I don't watch like the shows. I more or less watch like the highlights, and then I watch the pay-per-views.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah, I'm confirming it right now. What do you want?
Okay,
but
I can't believe wrestling's are pay-per-view. Like, I understand why boxing and UFC, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Wait, what'd you say?
you can't believe it's pay-per-view.
I can't believe WWE is pay-per-view because boxing and UFC, it's a sport. You know, people are. You don't know what's going to happen.
It's not a pay-per-view. It's called a premium live event, and it's on Peacock at this moment. So like,
PLE.
you don't have to pay for the actual event. You just pay for Peacock, and you get everything.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's
I
not
thought it
like-
was like $80 fight
No,
night WWE
No, not that.
live from Vegas.
Not that anymore. No.
What would you prefer, like a steel cage match or like Roki coming to San Diego?
Like Roki in the steel cage?
I told him, I'm like, maybe Roki's going to come out tonight and like make his decision.
That would have been pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah, but I'm glad he's not doing it. In
Like,
San
can we have
Diego.
AJ Preller versus Roki in a steel cage?
Imagine Roki comes out at the sports arena and he's rocking a Dodger. Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Oh man, he is going to get booed so much here.
Is he going to get booed here more than like Ohtani?
Snell will get booed more
Yeah,
than
Snell. There's so
Snell.
many of these guys.
I know.
All these dudes, right?
They're to boo
Betts.
everybody.
I mean,
Who
Betts is doing podcast. Betts' next podcast is probably with Roki. Like, why did you choose San Diego?
Who's right? Who's the most hated Dodger from a Padres perspective? Padres fans perspective.
I mean, Max Muncy historically.
That idiot's
right?
still the number one guy.
I mean, probably like Brusdar Gratterall. There's some Freddie. I don't think you really.
Freddie's not really
I don't think he's
hateable, though.
Yeah, I don't know how much.
I hate him
people
because he's a Dodger,
And he
but
just
I also
hits.
respect him.
Yeah, exactly. And he had that whole thing with his child that I hated.
Yeah, awful.
So a lot of them is the answer. I think. I don't think Padre fans love Shohei Ohtani. That's for sure.
Roki's on close to top of my
maybe.
list.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get that.
Because like the Padres had a chance to get him. Blake Snell, he's a douche. Like I mean, he
might get booed.
He's gonna get booed, but to me, it's like you're just a clown. Like you're just an imbecile. I don't like you. I never really liked you in the first place either.
And in LA, who's the most hated Padre? Is it Machado or Tatis?
Machado,
Even though Tatis just rakes.
Far and away, Machado.
But Tatis rakes against.
Far and away, Machado, because he was a Dodger.
No, I know.
I think Dodger fans though can appreciate Tatis. Machado, there's a hate because he left LA.
Hate. So on my list, I might have to go like, Max Muncy's up there.
Oh, he's right at the top, dude.
Ohtani's definitely up there. Sasaki now is definitely up there. Gratterall's up there.
Yeah.
I don't have like a visceral hate towards Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts.
Sure.
But
Mookie and Fernando are like friends. They're just kicking on the podcast.
Do podcasts no matter what. Hey, we're playing you next week. Okay, podcast time. Those would be my top. I would go.
What about Will Smith?
Oh yeah, that's screw that guy. Douche.
What about Hai Sung Kim
Oh, I
for
forgot.
stealing the thunder from Hai
I
Sung
forgot
Kim?
they got Hai Sung Kim.
Okay,
so here's my top 5 in no particular order.
There's Chris Taylor, who's just been a thorn.
Yeah.
Dodger fans are not a big fan of Chris Taylor as well.
My top 5 in no particular order: Max Muncy, Will Smith, Shohei, Roki, and
Alex Vesia.
Gratterall. Those are my top 5.
It's Gratterall. Yeah.
In no particular order right now.
Where's Kershaw on that list? Yeah.
I mean,
Kershaw meme.
Here's the thing. I hate Kershaw, but like there's also like I kind of respect you and stuff, you know.
Is Joe Kelly still there?
Joe Kelly is still a
Dustin
Dodger.
May still there? I mean, there's
Dustin
a lot.
May is still a
There's
Dodger.
lot
I
of
hate him all.
guys.
He hasn't
That's-
pitched in like 2 years.
There's a lot.
But
there,
like
is the point.
Like if you get like I asked you for a top 5, you know,
Where's
that's
River Ryan on your list?
Hai Sung Kim's up there now. Oh man.
Where's Emmett Sheehan? There's just
Who?
Blake Trinan. There was a lot, dude.
Oh, I hate
there was a lot
I
there.
forgot about Blake
Trinan
All right.
with that like frisbee slider.
I'm gonna replace. Who am I gonna replace?
You need a top 10.
I might need a top 10. If I were to replace anybody in my top 5, it might. I think Gratterall's up there just because of.
Yeah, but that's been years now, right?
Okay, I'll take out Gratterall. I'll put in Trinan.
Who would you like to see in a cage match between the Padres and the Dodgers?
Love that.
Oh, that's a great question. I'll go.
Well, you got to Profar for the Padres. Just assume he's still on the team.
He's not on the team.
Yeah, but he has to be in the cage. Right?
Okay, fine. He's
Will Smith and Profar have to start the thing.
Yeah, Will Smith and Profar.
Yeah, they would
easily.
No, they'd be the headline bout.
Yeah.
So the undercard would feature
Profar and Will Smith.
Flaherty's not there.
That's a Hell in a Cell match.
Forgot about Flaherty.
Oh yeah, boy's not on the team anymore. Douche.
I know.
Can I pick Dave Roberts too? As my most hated Dodgers?
Sinister Sling. Where's Ken Rosenthal?
Okay, so if I'm just looking at Dodgers, as a whole, not just players.
Ken Rosenthal, tail of the tape.
4'4",
yeah,
125 pounds.
Right.
Bow tie weighs more than him.
Right.
Dave Roberts is in my top 5. I forgot about Dave. So here's my top 5 now. My revised top 5. Dave Roberts, Max Muncy, Blake Trinan, Roki Sasaki, and Ohtani. It's my top 5.
It's a lot of hate for you at the end of the show, Jim.
Wait, you didn't include Will Smith?
Oh, Will Smith.
That's misguided.
That's probably there's a lot of hate after a 4-hour show, Sammy.
Man, this has been.
I'm just hate.
2025 hopefully will get better because it's off to a slow start.
Here's the best part. It can't get much worse.
It can't get much worse. It can't get much worse than this.
It's only up from here.
Man, if you missed anything today, we have you covered at sportssd.com, on the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. We're on YouTube, streaming each and every weekday, Jon and Jim, from 2 to 6.
Solid stream today, guys. Appreciate you out there.
Appreciate everyone. Please subscribe if you're with us on YouTube. Smash that like button as well. We'll see you tonight for a wrap-up show at 9:30, and then we're back after MLK Day next Tuesday. So enjoy the long weekend. Enjoy, in quotes. Enjoy the long weekend. Sammy, thank you, man. Great job today. Thanks for filling in for Brent.
I appreciate you boys having me on.
And Sammy, I'll see you. Well, I won't see you tomorrow. I won't. No, I won't.
No,
Good luck to your Chiefs.
Yeah.
All right. Tomorrow, Aztec basketball for Brent and Sammy and Jim. I'm Jon. Keep it right here. It's San Diego Sports 760. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.